Hallo liebe Zuschauer, herzlich willkommen zur NFL bei Premiere. Heute aus dem Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome in Minneapolis. Die heimischen Minnesota Vikings gegen die Buffalo Bills. Zwei Teams auf der Suche nach sich selbst. Beide sind mit einer Niederlage in die Saison gestartet in Woche 1, aber es war jeweils unglücklich. Die Buffalo Bills in Verlängerung gegen die New York Jets und die Vikings ganz knapp eine halbe Minute vor Schluss die Niederlage auswärts in Chicago. Das hätte also auch auf beiden Seiten anders ausgehen können. Die Vikings eigentlich eine sehr heimstarke Mannschaft, auch in einer relativ schwachen Saison wie letztes Jahr. Also eine schwere Aufgabe für Drew Bledsoe, den Quarterback der Buffalo Bills, den wir ja eben schon Ihnen ein bisschen vorgestellt haben. Das ist eine sehr gute Nachricht für alle Football-Fans. 3 Spiele pro Woche heißt die 2 am Sonntag noch.
Cedric James and Doug Chapman back deep for Minnesota. Mike Hollis does the kicking. The Bills and the Vikings, and we're underway from the Metrodome. Doug Chapman with the return up to the 28-yard line, a 15-yard return. Tackled on the play by Jason Bostic, and the Minnesota Vikings are on offense to begin this game as Dante Culpepper trots out onto the field in last week versus Chicago. As you take a look at his career numbers, he was 16 of 29 for 234 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions, but he's a big, strong-arm, mobile quarterback.
And Gus, you said it right there, strong arm and mobile. That's what you think of when you think of Dante Culpepper. Could hurt you with his arm as well as his legs. Look for a little bit more scrambling today from the big man.
First down 10 at the 29-yard line. Michael Bennett, the lone setback, breaks it across, and he gets over the 30, up to the 34. Tackle on the play by Antoine Winfield. Let's take a look at the Vikings offensively. Up front, it's Lindsey Lucina. Matt Burke is the anchor, 2-time Pro Bowler. Dixon and Chris Lewinsky, the right tackle. The backs and receivers, they call him the freak, the Randy ratio. Randy Moss, they want to get it to him. 40% of the time Scott Linehan comes to the Vikings from the University of Louisville. Second down and 5 at the 34. Klein Saucer Bennett line up in the pro set. And here's Culpepper out of the shotgun. Culpepper underneath, and he underthrows Randy Moss, who was open at the time. Defensively for the Buffalo Bills, they allowed only 73 yards rushing and sacked Vinny Testaverde 3 times last week. Ahanotu Edwards, Big Pat Williams, and Schobel up front. The linebackers, London Fletcher comes over from St. Louis. Eddie Robinson, a veteran. Keith Newman. And in the secondary, Winfield, Clemens have a tough task guarding Randy Moss with Wire and Pearson Prelude as the safeties. And Jerry Gray is the defensive coordinator. Third down 5 at the 34. Culpepper out of the shotgun, under pressure, turns it up, and is dragged down from behind. Nicely done by Justin Bannon, a rookie out of Colorado, 5th-round pick.
Justin Bannon steps up and makes a tackle here that I don't think a lot of people think that they can do. Going ahead and getting Dante Culpepper from behind, just tripping him up, getting him in the heels. Usually Culpepper has the leg strength to run right through that tackle. He had 10, 12 yards in front of him with nobody around.
Brings on Kyle Richardson, the former Raven, punting from his own 20. High spiraling kick. Charlie Rogers with the fair catch signal at the 19. So a 45-yard punt for Kyle Richardson. And here comes the man they love in Buffalo, Drew Bledsoe. 26 of 39 last week, 271 yards as you take a look at his career numbers. And Bledsoe threw a touchdown and 2 interceptions, but contrary to some thoughts in the National Football League, Brent, he hasn't lost anything on his fastball.
Not at all, Gus. I actually had a chance to catch a few balls from him in warm-ups, and my hands are stinging. He still's got the big arm, big play potential out there. Excited to be in Buffalo.
First down and 10 at the 20-yard line for the Bills. They hand it off. This is Travis Henry over the left side. Nowhere to go. He's met by a sea of purple jerseys. Lance Johnstone in the middle along with Chris Hovan. Let's take a look at the Bills offensively. Jennings Brown, Teague, Sullivan, and the big skillet, Mike Williams, 1st-round pick out of Texas. Backs and receivers, Travis Henry, number 20, rushed for 149 yards and 3 touchdowns, both career highs last week. And Kevin Gilbride took a year off from football after serving as Pittsburgh's offensive coordinator. He and Drew Bledsoe are thinking with the same brain. Second down and 13 from the 17. Play action. Bledsoe sets up deep in the pocket, steps up, gets rid of it, incomplete. Had a lot of time, but there, Lemansky Hall drops him. And let's take a look at the Vikings defensively. Mixon, Robbins, Chris Hovan, he's aggressive, and Lance Johnstone, the former Oakland Raider. The linebackers, Greg Biekert has been in camp about 2 months, but he's already the heart and soul of this team. Crockett and Lemansky Hall. And in the secondary, Chavis and Carter on the corners. Offert is a rookie with Ronnie Bradford. And the defensive coordinator, former Oakland Raider defensive coordinator, Willie Shaw. Third down and 13 at the 17-yard line. For those of you who have been watching Cincinnati and Cleveland, welcome to the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome in Minneapolis. Cleveland won the game 20-7, and this is a matchup between the Buffalo Bills and the Minnesota Vikings, 10th all-time matchup. Both teams have had one offensive possession and have come up empty. And now the Bills have been forced to punt it away. So Brian Moorman, last week versus the Jets, his first punt of the year, 64 yards. He did have a punt blocked last week. And this one, a wobbly end-over-end kick. Dwayne Bates back deep, allows it to take a bounce. And it goes out of bounds at the 35. A 36-yard punt. So the Vikings and the Bills are scoreless. Mike Tice, the 6th head coach in Vikings history, replaced Denny Green. And his team has the ball first down and 10 at the 36. Michael Bennett, the lone setback. Eddie Robinson creeping to the line of scrimmage for the Bills. He backs off. Here's Bennett over the right side. And Bennett, with running room, gets up to the 38. Tackled on the play by Chidi Ahanatu. And what's the book on the Minnesota Vikings?
Let's crack open the Vikings book. Head coach Mike Tice, the first thing he's got to find this year is somebody besides Randy. Who's going to step up on the skill position level? Who's going to be that wide receiver? I think it's got to be Derek Alexander. Dante needs a runner. We got to see Michael Bennett establish himself this year. Wait for those blocks to develop. Start making an impact running the ball.
Second down, 7 at the 39. Here's Moss in motion. Play action, short roll for Culpepper. Brings it down. Plenty of time over the middle. Caught! Moss, did he keep both feet in bounds? Yes, he did! At the 30-yard line. Randy Moss. A gain of 31 yards.
Gus, watch the hang time. Very Jordan-esque by Randy Moss. Knowing where he is, coming across the field. Don't give up on the route. And Dante Culpepper over 3 guys. Look at him keep those feet in. Randy Moss right on the sideline.
Randy Moss.
And London Fletcher maybe just laying on the ground so they can go ahead and try to get that reviewed upstairs.
As Greg Williams steps onto the field, I believe they may want to take a look at it and see if he got both feet in bounds.
You know, the great thing about Dante Culpepper on that play, rolled out, had the tight end initially, then he was covered up, just was patient, just stayed with it, waited to the last minute, saw Randy breaking across, and he put a bullet right on the numbers of Randy Moss, who had great sideline awareness, came up and came down, got those toes in.
So they're going to take a look at this play, and did he keep both feet in bounds?
You know, in live fast action, it sure looked like it from up here. 2-touch right there, beautiful. That's exactly how it's drawn up. And we're talking about a 1/4 inch to spare, and that is some spectacular camera work right there on the sideline.
Mark Edmond, our cameraman, right on the play. Everybody's fired up. We are, they are, the cameraman.
Hey, he was close enough to get Randy Moss's autograph.
So Randy Moss, and how difficult is it as a receiver to keep those feet in bounds when you're running full speed?
You know, it's running full speed isn't as tough as being up in the air because you got to control where you land. So you can't jump too far close to the sideline. You got to be able to get up and get back down. You can't jump lengthwise. You got to jump up in the air and get some more height. But look at that. That is just on inside the line. That is spectacular.
He looks like Baryshnikov there.
Very nice.
Keeping both feet in bounds, going up high, doing a pirouette.
You're a big ballet fan, aren't you?
Yes, actually I am.
That's very impressive. I don't think you have that much flexibility.
You're right, 100%.
Well, that was a big-time throw, and Randy Moss is going to get all the credit for that catch. But
we'll talk about Randy Moss and a lot of things being made about the Randy ratio as the official comes to render his decision.
And you talked about the Randy ratio. That's getting him 40% of the plays during the course of the game.
After review, the receiver, while in possession of the ball, got both feet in bounds before going out of bounds. And a completed pass, first down.
So a completed catch.
Buffalo is charged with a timeout.
For Randy Moss, Buffalo charged with the timeout.
And Gus, just spending time with Randy Moss yesterday, he was just happy. He was pumped up. He's ready to go. It just seemed like he had a different demeanor. We had this Vikings team at the end of last season, and it just seems like so much has changed with his attitude, the locker room, everything across the board.
Moss, the fastest receiver to reach the 5,000-yard plateau, and the only receiver in NFL history to break 1,000 yards in each of his first 4 years. First down and 10 at the Buffalo 30. Culpepper, short drop, underneath, incomplete. Moss, the intended receiver. And when we talked to the Bills, they had no problem saying that every time Dante Culpepper drops back in the pocket, he looks in Moss's direction.
And he does. And if you have Randy Moss on your team, you would like to do that as a quarterback, although it's going to come back to be an issue as the season progresses because every defense knows that. You saw Dante right there throw into triple coverage, and we had singled on the backside, single coverage on the backside. Derek Alexander,
Dwayne Bates.
There you go. You've got to start getting the ball in the hands of some of your other playmakers.
Now Moss lines up in the backfield. Second and 10. He's got a great arm. Here's Culpepper looking underneath. Saucer with the grab at the 20. Knocked backwards, and Jim Clydesaucer with beautiful hands had 5 catches for 58 yards last week versus the Bears, and he picks up 9.
And Jim Clydesaucer was their starting fullback for a couple years in the Denny Green regime. Mike Tice, former tight end, when he got the job, put him right back in the tight end position. You see him split out a little wide this time, coming across the middle, basic cross route. Nice job catching it with his hands. Now watch this leg drive. This is a monstrous tight end, 275 pounds. He's not going down. You don't have me down.
Third down and 1 at the 21. Culpepper leans forward and picks up the first down. So the Minnesota Vikings a year ago, a 5-11 team, very disappointing, but you have to remember that a couple of years ago this team was in the NFC Championship game playing for a trip to the Super Bowl against the New York Giants.
And Gus, I think a lot of things changed for this Vikings team last year with the death of Corey Stringer. That is such a tough thing to deal with. It's very emotional. I actually had a former player of mine at Santa Clara University die toward the end of the season, and football became, and when we were here in Minnesota last year, I think at the end of the season football was meaningless.
First down and 10 at the Buffalo 18. Clydesaucer in motion out of the backfield. Culpepper fires, and Clydesaucer with the ball gets down to the 10. Jim Clydesaucer with his second catch. It's a gain of 8. And the Vikings very successful last week in the red zone against the Bears. They had 4 red zone possessions, and they wound up with just 3 field goals, no touchdown. Excuse me, they weren't that successful. 3 field goals, no touchdowns in the red zone 1 week ago.
And Gus, you saw Jim Clydesaucer limp off the field, took a shot on his knee, and got up limping. And they're going to definitely miss him, especially his blocking ability, not to mention his receiving ability in there for the rest of this game if that's a serious injury.
Second down and 2 at the 10. Moss lines up at the bottom of your screen. Here's Mo Williams running the ball, and Williams gets inside the 5 and picks up a first down for the Vikings. Pearson Prelo, the safety, with the tackle, but it's after a gain of 6.
So let's watch this left side of the Minnesota Vikings line, and you see the big guard come around and pull around. Big number 71 sneaking out there. David Dixon laying the wood. And that creates that hole. And one of the things that the Vikings do out their running game, they pull their guards, they pull their center, Matt Burke, maybe more than any other position. Matt Burke and David Dixon making some things happen, getting downfield.
First down and goal at the 4. 8th play of the drive that started at the 36. Pump fake in the corner, and Culpepper throws this one out of bounds. Randy Moss, the intended receiver.
Now Randy's going to have his hands full today going against these young corners of the Buffalo Bills. Antoine Winfield, who's one of the best corners in the National Football League. But also on the other side, Nate Clements. And you might say that these two guys together are the two best young corners in the NFL right now. So it's not going to be a gimme for Randy Moss. These guys are going to get up, be physical, get a hand on him. There's going to be a safety over the top. Look for double coverage wherever Randy Moss goes.
Second down goal at the 4. Here's Moss in motion. Culpepper out of the gun once again. Culpepper dances, fires to the corner, incomplete. Hunter Goodwin, the intended receiver, 7th-year man out of Texas A&M.
And let's go back. You see Randy Moss coming a little motion, a little zigzag, and boy, Dante, he must have not been looking with his eyes on Randy Moss that time, because Randy made a nice move inside. Little nice head fake, go out, come back underneath on the slant route, and Dante had already thrown the ball, got some pressure, but that's one of those times where he must not have been looking at him because he was open.
Third down goal at the 4. Moss and Derek Alexander line up at the top of your screen. Here comes Moss in motion. Mo Williams is the lone setback. Culpepper steps up. Culpepper looking for a lane, and he's tackled and dropped for a loss. Aaron Schobel got up the field and down the field in a hurry.
And got a big part of that series right there. The defensive line for the Buffalo Bills starting to get some pressure on Dante Culpepper. You can't let him have time to throw. And watch Schobel coming to back, keeping that motor running, coming back on the quarterback. You see that ball sneak out from underneath Dante Culpepper. Luckily, he landed on it.
Chidi Ahanatu doing a good job keeping Culpepper bottled up. And that will bring on Doug Bryan to attempt a 29-yard field goal. Last week versus Chicago, he was 3 of 3. This one is up and good. So the Vikings get on the board first with 7:32 to go in the first quarter. 3-0, Minnesota over Buffalo. Minneapolis, and the Vikings have a 3-0 lead over the Bills. And a look at the scoring drive, 11 plays, 53 yards. Bryan sends it away, and this will be Charlie Rogers inside his 5. And Rogers is level. Whoa! Brian Russell almost took his head off. And the special teams coming up with big plays already for Minnesota. .7:27 remaining in the first quarter, and the Bills have it first down and 10 at their own 19, down 3-0. Quick strike as Bledsoe fires it out. Nowhere to go for Eric Moulds as Corey Chavis, the former Arizona Cardinal, closes on the play quickly. And Brian Russell making some people pay attention here.
And you see Brian Russell with what I want to say is a decleater, except you don't wear cleats on AstroTurf, Gus, and so you have nubs on the bottom of your shoes, so we're going to call that a D-nubber.
A D-nubber.
There you go. Nubs were flying on that one.
I don't know. He almost knocked them right out of his Nikes. Second down and 10 at the 19-yard line. Bledsoe, the draw play. Travis Henry with running room. Henry up to the 25, make it the 30. Travis Henry all the way up to the 37-yard line. Corey Chavis with the tackle, but it's a gain of 17.
And Travis Henry was telling us how much he enjoys zone running plays. You see a little draw here, pull the backside tight end Jay Riemersma, 85, and Travis Henry off to the races. Now, Travis told us he likes to run between the tackles, like he's a pounder, and he is. He's 5'11", 215 pounds, except right there, Gus, you saw him hit outside the tackle, and he had some explosion. He's got more speed, I think, than people expect.
Henry, the most prolific runner in the history of the University of Tennessee. Here's Bledsoe underneath, caught by Peerless Price, and he's ambushed and driven to the ground at the 40 by Lemansky Hall. Now log on to NFL.com and get up to the minute scores and stats. Plus, follow all of your favorite players all day long at NFL.com or on America Online. Enter keyword NFL.com. Great pace to the beginning of this game between the Vikings and the Bills. Both teams losing last week in games that they probably should have won. 2nd and 2 from the 44. Bledsoe firing up top, and that is caught. Peerless Price has it stripped at the 35. And let's see. Peerless Price had the ball stripped, but somehow he pounced right back on it, and that's a gain of 21 yards.
And Gus, let's talk about the positive. Peerless Price, good job of using his body. Watch him position his body, keep the defender away, but that ball comes out before his knee hits, and you see it laying on the ground right there, and Peerless's stomach's on the ball. He doesn't have his hands on it. Vikings are in trying to attack it and get him off that ball, and Peerless Price did a nice job of just keeping the Vikings off the ball until he could get his hands on it.
And they will challenge this play, as Coach Tice didn't feel that Peerless held on to it.
And Gus, the whistle blew, so there's definitely not going to be a change of possession, but you got to have possession and 2 feet.
There you go.
1, 2, and there it is. The ball's not coming out actually till after his knee hit. That is a complete pass, not a fumble. And a great strip on a part of number 22 from the Vikings defense.
Tyrone Carter.
And Tyrone Carter, the converted safety, has been a safety his whole career and just switched over to corner midway through training camp this summer. And that's a guy you looked at for the Bills to test. He hadn't been out there on that hot corner position a whole lot. Not a whole lot of experience. Good speed and size, though.
So Drew Bledsoe coming over from New England, and obviously his story has been talked about, written about so many times, but he feels like Buffalo is the perfect fit. He said to us that he's a small town guy and he loves a small town, and Buffalo is perfect. And I tell you what, he comes to this team, Brent, and has a lot of weapons.
He really does. He's got a lot of toys, Gus, to play with. Eric Moulds could be one of the best receivers in the NFL if he has a quarterback get him the ball. And we saw what Peerless Price just did and had a big week last week. He's got some tight ends that can catch the ball, and now Travis Henry's stepping up. And Gus, Buffalo inherits one of the greatest guys in this National Football League. And there you see the reception once again. Peerless Price, possession and 2 feet down before that ball came out. And he ends up getting on top of it anyway. You see his hands not able to get it.
Ron Winter is your referee today. He has 90 seconds to make a decision once he gets to the monitor.
And Gus, I don't know, you were talking about Drew Bledsoe. I don't know if there's a classier individual that in my whole career that I've ever met. And the way he handled that situation last year, I am so impressed with him off the field. And you know what he's done on the field. But he's one of the all-time great guys in this league. And what a thrill for the Buffalo Bills to get a stand-up guy in the quarterback position, especially after the last 3 or 4 years of roller coaster. And once Jim Kelly retired, it's been just a seesaw over there. Who's going to be a quarterback and what's at issue? And there's so many controversies. And
Rob Johnson, Doug Flutie. Alex Van Pelt has had opportunities. He's the backup quarterback. So let's see what referee Winter has to say, and he will signal a catch.
After review, the receiver with the ball in his possession. The receiver with the ball in his possession touched his left leg to the ground before the ball came loose. By rule, that is a completed pass. Minnesota is charged with a timeout.
One more look at it.
And I like Ed Winter right on top of it. How impressive was it for Ed to wait for that feedback coming from the microphone? He had a lot of composure up there. Paused, waiting for the feedback to go away, and you see the catch, you see the possession, you see the 2 feet. There's the knee hits, and the ball comes out. I don't know if the Vikings ever recovered anyway. Peerless Price's stomach was all over that ball, and he was like a wrestler. He wasn't letting anybody get underneath and get their hand on it.
So the Bills have it first down and 10 at the 35. Out of the I formation. The handoff to Henry over the left side, follows his blocks, but the Vikings string that play out nicely. Willie Offord, a rookie out of South Carolina, coming up and making the tackle along with Beekert. But this man, Greg Beekert, who played for so many years in Buffalo, 9 seasons, is the heart and soul of this defense, and after 2 months, they're looking for him already.
Gus, I love Greg Beekert, and I was born and raised in San Francisco. He played for the Raiders for all those years and just made such an impact. And he is really an extra coach out on the field. You see him lining up guys right now, telling them where to go. What a significant addition to this Vikings defense.
Second and 10 at the 35. Bledsoe standing strong, underneath, incomplete. Ball intended for Larry Centers. And Lemansky Hall there covering.
And Gus, going back to Greg Beekert, I was at an auction this offseason. I had never met the man, but admired his play on the field and the way he conducts himself both on and off the field. And they had his helmet from the Raiders, which turned out to be his last game-used helmet. And I went and bid on that thing, and it is sitting on my desk as we speak. Little memorabilia collection, and Greg Beekert, I actually had the chance to meet him, told him I bought his helmet. But that's how much I admire him, and he has really made a tremendous difference in the few weeks that he's been here.
Flags on the play, let's see.
False start. 79 offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains third down.
Reuben Brown called for the penalty.
Please reset the game clock to 4.
Now coming up on the Nextel halftime report, join Jim, Dion, Dan, and Boomer for all the scores and highlights. That's all coming up on the Nextel halftime report.
Boy, how about that NFL Today? You think that show's hopping? Those guys get after it in the morning, aren't they?
Third down, 15 at the 40. They need to go to the 25 for a first down. And the Vikings defense trying to get the crowd involved.
And we saw Reuben Brown jump the play before. And this is the home field advantage that you talk about when you play here in Minnesota and the fans are into the game. This is what was missing the end of last year. The players were sleepwalking and the fans were as well. But the momentum is back. And Gus, you had mentioned both these teams played games last week. The Vikings against the Bears, the Bills against the Jets, that both teams should have won. They both should be 1-0. They both actually are 0-1 at this point. Frustrating to dominate a game, which both teams did, and come out on the losing end.
So here we go, third down and 15. Vikings jump offside. Free play for Bledsoe and the Bills, and Bledsoe is dropped. Chris Hovan gets 2 hands on him, and Bledsoe slow to get up. Last week, Drew Bledsoe sacked 4 times, but he was dropped 14 times, or rather he was
Offside. Defense. 5-yard penalty. Repeat third down.
It's Kenny Mixon.
And Gus, that was a coverage sack, and if you have to talk about the young secondary for this Minnesota Vikings team, and they've been impressive. There's been a couple times today where Drew Bledsoe has had to hold the ball much longer than he anticipated, and that was absolutely great coverage in the secondary that allowed that sack, although it was negated by the penalty.
Third down 10 at the 35. Eric Moulds, Peerless Price split out wide to the top of your screen. Price in the slot. Josh Reed, the rookie out of LSU at the bottom. Bledsoe to pass. Under pressure. Bledsoe underneath. Incomplete. Josh Reed, the intended receiver, but the Vikings applying a lot of pressure. Chris Hovan close to getting him again.
And watch Drew Bledsoe. He has time to step up in the pocket, make the throw, and he gets that arm back and just misfires a little bit. But there's definitely some pressure coming from this Minnesota front four. And that's been a big part of the improvement of this Vikings defense. The defensive line, linebackers, and we still have to comment on the secondary.
Mike Hollis in to attempt a 53-yard field goal. That one is up and good. Mike Hollis, the former Jacksonville Jaguar, the 6th most accurate field goal kicker in NFL history, gets Buffalo on the board. We're tied at 3. 3-3, the Bills and Vikings tied. Under 4 to go. Mike Hollis connects on a 52-yard field goal officially. He had a 52-yarder last week versus the Jets. So Hollis sends it away. This is Cedric James from the 10. And James all the way up to the 30. It's a return of 21. Bryson with the special teams tackle. 3:50 to go, and our score is 3 apiece here in the first. .350 remaining in the first quarter. Buffalo and Minnesota tied at 3, and the Vikings take over first down and 10 at their own 31. Derek Alexander, the former Kansas City Chief, and Cleveland Brown at the top of your screen. At wide receiver, Michael Bennett in the backfield. Short drop, they fire to Moss, and he's taken down. Antoine Winfield with the tackle. Moss picks up a couple. And Drew Bledsoe has been under a lot of pressure today already, Brent.
And a big part of this game is the success for both teams is going to be protecting their quarterbacks. And as good as run blocking as this offensive line for Buffalo's done, they've allowed Drew Bledsoe to take some shots these first couple weeks of the season. Actually had some blood underneath his chin on the sideline, I think, from that hit by Chris Hovan.
And the numbers on Bledsoe, 4 of 7. Second down, 7 from the 34. Play action. Culpepper has it stripped away by Newman. Loose ball. Let's see who got it. Buffalo forces the turnover. Justin Bannon grabs it, and Keith Newman stripped it away.
And you're seeing a lot more of this tomahawk chop. Watch Keith Newman, number 53 from linebackers, get one arm on the pad and go for the ball. Bang! You see him just smack it right out of there. If the quarterback doesn't feel you as a defender coming around, there's no way he's going to hold on to that ball. Watch his left arm grab and his right hand chop. Simultaneous, and that ball is loose, and Keith Newman, very impressive, getting so free like that and going, instead of for the tackle, going right for the ball. Jerry
Gray, the Bills defensive coordinator, has to be pleased. Bledsoe firing into the flats, and this is Peerless Price tight roping down the sideline. And Price steps out of bounds. But it's a gain of 8 on the play. And the wide receivers for Buffalo so explosive. Price, a speedster, a former track athlete in college, and Eric Moulds. Not only does he have speed, but also great size and strength.
And do you think they're excited about having Drew Bledsoe?
Sure they are.
Holy cow, it's like Christmas morning, opening up the big present. You got a brand new, phenomenal, strong-arm quarterback.
Second down and 2 at the 19. 4-receiver package now for the Bills. Here's Bledsoe to pass. Bledsoe underneath. It is caught. Josh Reed at the 10. And Josh Reed picks up another 8 yards. Josh Reed, a rookie out of LSU, a second-round pick, and he was the greatest receiver in the history of the SEC, caught over 3,000 yards worth of passes. At 5 feet 10, 203 pounds.
And what a great addition as a third wide receiver, a guy that understands getting open and catching the ball.
First down, 10 at the 11 for the Bills. Bledsoe throws the fade in the corner. Moulds! Did he stay in bounds? No, he didn't. Moulds working on Tyrone Carter.
And you know what? Eric Moulds isn't even arguing it. That ball just got a little bit out there. And I think you're going to end up seeing Eric Moulds getting his right leg in, but his body just drifted out of bounds. Just the angle of that ball. But Eric Moulds can get up and make some things happen, and you see us get the right foot in. That left foot couldn't come down. Great effort, phenomenal catch. Got one in, tried to drag that left one, Gus, just couldn't come down.
Last week in the red zone, the Bills, 3 possessions, 3 touchdowns. 2nd and 10 at the 11. Travis Henry breaks it back, and Henry is stuck by Kenny Mixon, and Henry gets to the 8.
Boy, what a great addition Kenny Mixon is to this run defense for the Minnesota Vikings, coming over from Miami, and just one of the toughest run stoppers in the league. Really adds some attitude to that front four of the Minnesota Vikings. And you combine Greg Biekert and Kenny Mixon and a few other guys, and you've got a whole new defense that can actually stop some people this year.
3rd down and 8 from the 9. They need to get to about the 1.5 for a first down. Bledsoe sets up. Moulds with the catch. Moulds lowers his head, and Eric Moulds, let's see where they spot it. He's really close to the first down. Moulds with a big day last week. 8 catches, 112 yards, and a touchdown.
And just get the ball in the hands of your playmakers, and that's Eric Moulds. And you're just running a little bit of delay, little delay route underneath, and Eric Moulds gets the ball and gets upfield. He's going to be close. It looks like from here, though, Gus, I'd say he's got it by the nose of the football.
Well, he needed to get. And let's see.
Oh, not even close. What am I looking at?
Yeah.
We got bad perspective up here.
He needs to get to the 1.5 yard line for a first down.
Jeez, now I'm starting to wonder what's wrong with me, but what's wrong with the officials? That's not even close. Why'd you measure that? Unless Buffalo asked for a measurement.
Greg Williams, the former Tennessee Titans defensive coordinator in his 2nd year. The Bills 3-13 a year ago, but they're playing with almost a kid-like enthusiasm for the game of football. Mike Hollis already good from 52, this one from 20. It's good. So with 30 seconds remaining in the first quarter, the Bills take a 6-3 lead over the Vikings. Talking to his big target, Eric Moulds.
And Gus, sometimes kickoffs are throwaway plays here in the TV business, but with the Buffalo Bills special teams, it's a big-time play.
I tell you what, ever since the Music City Miracle,
it's been a tough one. And Chad Morton from the Jets returned 2 for touchdowns last week, and 1 in overtime that absolutely deflated this team. And special teams coach Danny Smith, you know what? You know what I have to say about Danny Smith?
What do you have to say?
He doesn't run down and make the tackles. He just tells guys where they are supposed to be, stay in their lanes. And you can see, stay in your lanes, wrap up, tackle. I can guarantee you that's what he's yelling at him right now.
Not only did the Bills give up 2 kickoff returns for touchdowns, but also they had a punt block. So Coach Smith is under a little pressure here. Here's Chapman from the 11. Chapman over the 25 and is knocked backwards, and that's the kind of kickoff coverage that Danny Smith is looking to see from his special teams unit. A return of 16 yards. Now Saturday beginning at 3 p.m. Eastern, Tim Brando and Spencer Tillman kick off your day with Olympus College football today. Then it's a big-time rivalry game when Rex Grossman leads the Florida Gators into Rocky Top to meet Casey Clausen and the Tennessee Volunteers. For more, go to CBSSportsline.com. America Online, keyword CBS Sportsline. And a man down on the field for the Bills. It's Sammy Morris, backup tailback. Morris, one of the better special teams players. So Morris, 3rd year out of Texas Tech, has to be helped up and he may have just gotten his bell rung there.
And guys, one of the most impressive things from a player's perspective is you saw Greg Williams come out on the field and check on his player, Sammy Morris. A lot of coaches just stand on the sidelines with their arms folded and don't come out and show that concern. And maybe it's not a big deal to the coaches, but to the players, it's everything. If I'm ever a coach, and if you're ever a coach, you go out and check on your players if they're hurt.
Too much pressure for me to ever be a coach. Too much pressure.
Darn right.
But Greg Williams handling the pressure very well. One of the most organized young coaches in the National Football League.
And he is going to be successful, Gus. I think we both feel that. It's just a matter of time.
1st and 10 for the Vikings at the 28. Dante Culpepper, 4 of 8, 51 yards to begin this one. Here's Culpepper underneath. Kleinsasser turns, makes the grab at the 38-yard line. Tackled on the play by Eddie Robinson. Chris Watson also in there, and you like Kleinsasser.
I do. He's a big man. He can catch the ball. He destroys people blocking. But you're going to actually see him go ahead and roll over a couple Buffalo Bill defenders and get that first down. Your body's not on the ground and you're rolling on top of somebody. You're good.
Kleinsasser, 3 catches, 28 yards. Pepper steps to the line of scrimmage, 1st down and 10 at his own 39. Dwayne Bates in motion along with Kleinsasser. They hand it off. It's Michael Bennett, and Bennett breaking it across the 40 up to the 42. And one thing I find very interesting, Brent, is the Bills and the Vikings have similar running games. They both use zone blocking.
Yeah, zone blocking is really the way to go in the NFL now with all the different fronts and all the different things that are presented to you. And one of the challenges, Gus, for Michael Bennett has been being patient in that zone blocking scheme. He's a sprinter. He wants to get that ball and pound it into the line. And with zone blocking, you have to let those blocks to develop to see where the holes are.
2nd down, 7. Culpepper under pressure. Newman gets to him and drops him. A flag on the play. Keith Newman having a really nice first half. Forced a fumble and now comes up with a sack, and this may be a hold against Minnesota. And that's the 3rd sack of the day for the Bills rather. And it is a holding call.
And we've seen Keith Newman a game or two before have some big games and put some big pressure coming from outside that linebacker position, and he's got some real great natural pass rushing techniques. He's a big man, a big linebacker, and with the addition of London Fletcher and Eddie Robinson on this Buffalo Bill linebacking core.
There's Fletcher, number 59, Newman's number 53, and Keith Newman out of the University of North Carolina has started every game over the last 2 years. 2nd in tackles last season.
And they're trying to figure out, and the players, you never want to make a decision on the penalty, whether to accept or decline, without checking with your head coach. And you see Eddie Robinson hollering over the sideline for about the 3rd time now. Hey, what are we going to do? And that's what Coach Williams is saying. Hey, what are our options? 2nd down right here. Because I'm still seeing 2 flags on the field. I'm just wondering if there wasn't a unsportsmanlike conduct in the process after the initial hold that might be confusing the situation down there. Usually you just see 1 flag on the field, or the 2nd one would have been picked up. And let's wait for this description.
So Ron Winter taking his time. It's been a stop and start, kind of a herky-jerky game, and the officials have been confused a couple of times out here on the correct call. So holding, and that's it. Mike Tice on one sideline, Greg Williams on the other.
And Gus, we've talked about the Buffalo Bills needing to protect Drew Bledsoe, but the same goes for this Minnesota Vikings group on the offensive line. They've got a star quarterback there that needs some time. You've got to protect him because he's taking some shots, and both teams have done probably a little bit more than expected run blocking with these offensive units, but pass blocking still an area of concern for both of these offensive fronts. And we still can't get this penalty thing right. And they're trying to figure out where to mark off the holding call from, where the sack potentially could have been. And I'm wondering if with all this talk that Buffalo didn't just go ahead and decline the penalty.
Feels like we're doing advanced calculus here.
It does. Better talk to Matt Burke. He's the only Harvard guy out there.
Holding. Number 76 offense. That's a 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. When the play was over, unsportsmanlike penalty, number 57, defense. That penalty will be administered from the succeeding spot and a first down.
Well, if we would have just got the unsportsmanlike conduct the first time around, we could have figured it out here 2 minutes ago. Let's see what it is. There's Dante Culpepper on the ground. And I don't see anything there.
Well, London Fletcher is number 59. There is no number 57 on the Bills, so I imagine it's London Fletcher. So here we go as the Vikings run it. Michael Bennett straight ahead, tackled by Schobel and Kendrick Office.
And I didn't see any unsportsmanlike conduct during that pileup or in the replay, but I'm sure that there's probably some few choice words that were exchanged down there that might have accounted for that. But geez, you can't have that. And those are the things that kill young teams, Gus. Stupid penalties after a big play. You sack the quarterback, you've got things, you've got emotion, and all of a sudden you have a dumb unsportsmanlike conduct penalty that gives the team new life.
2nd and 7 at midfield. Mo Williams, the deep back, out of the offset eye with Kleinsasser. And Dante Culpepper calls a timeout. Weird sequence. 13-18 to go here in the second quarter. 6-3. Over 13 minutes to go in the second quarter, and the Bills lead it by 3. Gus Johnson along with Brent Jones, and both these teams have a lot of offensive capabilities, but it's the defense leading the way so far.
Well, we were waiting for those fireworks, but thus far the defensive backfields of both teams have done a really nice job covering the receivers.
Vikings have the football. 2nd and 7 at midfield. 1 timeout remaining. Here's the handoff, and it's Chapman running over the right side. Chapman pops it outside and is dragged down at the 23. A 27-yard gain. Doug Chapman.
And Doug Chapman had a few big runs last week, and watch number 34. Big man, but he pounds it up in there, and he's got some breakaway right here. Look at open field. Get those knees pumping. And the running back by committee approach for the Minnesota Vikings thus far yielded 134 yards last week against a tough Chicago Bear run defense.
3rd year out of Marshall. 1st and 10 at the 23. Culpepper underneath. Randy Moss with the catch, and Moss bottled up and taken down at the 21. London Fletcher in on the play. And Randy Moss doesn't scare teams underneath, does he?
Well, he can if there's enough room. You know, he's got that sprinter speed. But no, they're going to play him over the top. They'll give him the 3-4 yard catches. And we still haven't seen Dante Culpepper go to any other wide receivers. You got to get Derek Alexander in the mix. He can make some things happen, take some of the pressure off of everybody focusing on Randy Moss on every pass play.
2nd down, 7 at the 19. Alexander wide to the top of your screen. Here comes Moss. The handoff, Michael Bennett, and Bennett slides down inside the 15, making the 13-yard line. A gain of 5 on the play.
And Gus, off of that play, had a little fake reverse action to Randy Moss. Don't be surprised if they come back to that at some point, handing the ball off to the big wide receiver. And I know Randy can throw the ball. So I wouldn't be surprised if he was petitioning for the old receiver reverse pass. You never know.
3rd down and a yard. Bennett lowers his shoulder and picks up the 1st down. So the Vikings, with one of their better drives of the day, 10:56 to go in the 2nd quarter. And now they have the ball at the Buffalo 11.
And really establishing that run game, and that does so much for your offense, Gus, because now if you're the Buffalo Bills linebacker, you have to respect the run game of the Vikings. You step up. Play action fake is so significant for Dante, although when there's no running backs back there, you know a run isn't coming.
And a timeout has been called by the Bills. 10:32 to go in the 2nd quarter. Bills up by 3.
10:32 noch zu spielen. Minnesota kurz vor der Endzone der Buffalo Bills mit einem neuen ersten Versuch an der 11-Yard-Linie. Culpepper aus der Shotgun. Und da läuft er selbst. Culpepper. Und jetzt geht's rückwärts. Eieiei, das war nicht besonders clever. Da hat er schon fast 5 Yards gut gemacht gehabt. Und dann dreht er rum und denkt, er könnte um die Verteidiger drumherum laufen. Aber der Rookie Coy Wire bringt ihn zu Boden. Culpepper laufen ja. Eine seiner großen Stärken. Kann ja laufen wie ein Running Back. Er verliert wirklich 4 Yards in dieser Situation. Dadurch, dass er hier wieder rückwärts läuft. Zweiter Versuch und 9. Culpepper, da ist der nächste Lauf. Diesmal läuft er nicht rückwärts. Bis zur 2-Yard-Linie. Dante Culpepper.
And what a great asset to have a quarterback that can just go ahead and call his own quarterback draw. You see him take a step back, allow those blocks to set up, and watch him go ahead and hit that hole right here, bang and up. Play off your blocks. I thought he was actually going to go back inside, but when he went outside, actually gave a little bit of his body exposed, allowing him to bring him down.
3rd down and 1 at the 2. Here's Culpepper.
Watch Klein Saucer to the corner.
This time they look for Moss. Broken up at the last moment. Nicely done, Nate Clements. 5 feet 11.
And I guarantee you that Nate Clements told Randy Moss about what a phenomenal play that was. You see Randy saying, come right back with it. Watch Clements get his arm right up underneath that ball, pop it right up. Very impressive defensive play. You don't see Randy Moss have the ball taken right out of his hands. And you see that punch coming up. We saw Keith Newman do it from the linebacking spot earlier, coming down. And Nate Clements doing the punch up, knocking that ball out. Randy Moss wanted it again. Will they come right back to him?
4th down and 1 at the 2. Culpepper rolling. He's in trouble. Culpepper looking. Touchdown! The mobility of Dante Culpepper, making something out of nothing. Dante Culpepper scrambling for the 2-yard touchdown. Doug Bryant in to attempt the extra point. It's up and good. And the Vikings go on an 11-play, 72-yard drive, capped off by this 2-yard score. 10-6. Dante Culpepper scrambling for a 2-yard touchdown. So now the Vikings, as you take a look at the drive, 11 plays covering 72 yards. Doug Bryant sends it away. Charlie Rogers from the 8. Rogers over the 20. Still running, and Rogers chopped down at the 23. And it's a return of 15 yards. Let's take another look at the touchdown.
And Gus, watch Keith Newman. He's the one responsible, number 53 right here for Dante Culpepper. He does his job. Watch, he initially goes with the inside fake. Get back, get to your zone. All right, Culpepper's flushed out. At right now, I've got to go ahead and realize he's going to run. So watch his move. He's going to come up to the ball, but watch this move by Culpepper. You see the little limp leg and inside move? 90% of the quarterbacks in this league can't make that move. Keith Newman left grabbing air, and what a great asset Dante Culpepper's legs are.
First down and 10 at the 24. Quick strike, Price with the catch. And a running lane, peerless Price turning on the Jets over the 35 up to the 37. A 14-yard pickup. Ronnie Bradford, the safety, with the tackle.
And if Ronnie Bradford doesn't make that tackle, Peerless Price might be in the end zone right now.
Peerless Price would be peerless.
I think you're right. And
running
fearless
down the field. And Price last week, 7 catches, 77 yards.
And Peerless Price had 895 receiving yards last year, and he's kind of the unknown quantity here with the Buffalo Bills.
San Diego Chargers leading Houston. And the Giants up big on St. Louis. First down and 10 at the 38. Bledsoe looking, firing down the seam, nobody home. Price turning the wrong way. Greg Biekert, the closest man to the football. The middle linebacker for Minnesota.
And if you've got a seam route, Peerless Price, very strict in this offense. You've got to make the reads. And if you're running down the seam, you can't all of a sudden pull up if you think you're going to be open. And Drew Bledsoe throws the ball down the middle and nobody home. Lucky that wasn't an interception.
The numbers on Drew Bledsoe, 8 of 13. No touchdowns, no interceptions. Second down 10 at the 38. Draw play, Henry. And Henry gets to the 39, but Kenny Mixon there to get to him first. Here's a question for you, Brent. Who is the best NFL quarterback of all time? Some great ones here. Bradshaw, Elway, Marino. Your guy, Montana, the great Johnny Unitas, who passed away this week, and your former roommate, Steve Young.
Well,
cast your vote at
NFL.com. No, he's right up there. And as much as I'd like to say Johnny U, if you don't think Joe Montana was the best of all time, you don't know football.
Third down 9 from the 39. Here's Bledsoe to the sideline. It's caught, but not enough for a first down. Eric Moulds with the reception, and the Bills are forced to punt it away.
And that's one of those cases where Eric's a veteran receiver. He's got to know, even if the route says 8 yards or the corner's sitting on it, you've got to get up, you got to get 10, you got to get past that first down marker. No use coming up a yard short.
Ryan Mormon in the punt, standing at the 32, Dwayne Bates. The punt returner at the 12. Wobbly kick, angled toward the sideline. Bates from the 14. Bates lowers his head and gets over the 25 to the 27. A 39-yard punt and a 12-yard return to Sean Polk with the special teams tackle. Back after this. Michael Bennett in the backfield, play action, Culpepper rolling. Moss finds it. Is it a catch? Yes, it is. Oh, so nicely done.
Boy.
Randy Moss.
And so elegant.
Of 15, so elegant.
Right along the sideline, Gus, and that ball that's up over your head where you've got to get both feet down right on the sideline is such a tough one. You're going to see him, I think, plant that left and drag right. Just very impressive job.
And I talked to
staying in bounds.
Derek Alexander before the game as you take a look at the Randy ratio, and he said that he had to see for himself whether Randy was as good in person as he was on film, and he said he can't believe it. If you throw the ball anywhere near him, it's a catch. Here's the reverse to Moss now. Outside, Moss spinning, and Moss wrestled down by Antoine Winfield.
You saw that fake reverse earlier with the different alignment. You watched Randy Moss coming in motion from the outside. Going to get the reverse. And you see that field open up, and you see him get upfield, try a little spin move. And nothing wrong with putting the ball in the hands, Gus, your playmaker. That's how you win games.
They want to get it to him, or at least look for him 40% of the time. That's what they call the Randy ratio for Coach Tice. 2nd and 5. Culpepper going up top. That one incomplete, sailing way over the head of Derek Alexander. Now, let me ask you a question. If you're Derek Alexander or Jim Kleinsasser or Dwayne Bates, and you know that everybody on your team, in terms of the coaches, they want to get the ball to one guy 40% of the time. Does that bother you at all? And do you say to yourself, wow, this is a team? I mean, I can make big plays also.
Well, I think Randy Moss is just so significant in what he can do. But, you know, if I'm Derek Alexander, I'm a little bit worried about the Derek ratio. And
Yes.
Kleinsasser, he loves blocking. You know, he's just happy to get 2 or 3 balls a game. That'll keep him happy.
3rd and 5 at the 47. Here's Culpepper standing, looking underneath. Alexander incomplete. Ball flag.
And Nate Clements was holding him downfield. Alexander was making a really nice move, coming inside off an outside move, and Nate Clements grabbed him. And Nate Clements and Anton Winfield have been playing tremendously in this backfield for the Buffalo Bills.
Pass interference. 22 defense. Penalized at the spot of the foul. First down.
Derek Alexander held on the play.
You see a nice little bit fake out and come back. He's coming across, and Clements just grabs him and tackles him coming across the field there on a deep over route. And Derek Alexander, that's the first. He's on the board. His ratio, he went from 0.
Alexander a couple of years ago had an outstanding year with Kansas City. 6 100-yard games. 1st and 10 at the 36. Culpepper looking for Alexander. Incomplete. Derek Alexander had not come out of his break, and the ball had been thrown behind him.
Now, sometimes you see that play as a planned play and what you call a fly stop, where the quarterback will throw the ball behind a receiver on the sideline so he can stop and turn around. But Derek off of slant, it's a slant go, Gus, running a slant and go right by the defensive back. And see Dante saying, look, because I think Dante thought it was the fly stop, and I think Derek thought it was the go. It's a little miscommunication there.
2nd down 10 at the 36. Here's the handoff. Mo Williams with a huge hole. Mo Williams running over defenders, picking up 13. He trucked Eddie Robinson. Pearson Prelo, the safety, makes the tackle. Mo Williams last year played for the Baltimore Ravens.
And Gus, this is a big-time professional right here. Watch Derek Alexander, 82, coming in your screen. Bang! Look at that block on Chris Watson right there, bringing him down, letting Mo get up and get into the hole. And that's what a pro does at wide receiver. Make the plays, even though the ball's not coming to you. Get down, make a block, help your team.
Williams spent his first 4 years with Minnesota before going to the Ravens. Here he is again. Mo Williams to the 15. Prelo again on the stop. But the Minnesota offensive line starting to fire off the football. That a gain of 9.
And how about this running back by committee approach?
What do you think of it?
I'm not a big proponent of it, but it sure seems to be working well for Minnesota. And you keep guys fresh. Every back brings something new. And boy, I'll tell you what, they are making an effort to get up in there and pound the ball. And that's, hey, as long as it's working for you, don't change it.
2nd down and 1. Here comes a blitz. And Dante Culpepper goes down. They blitzed him from the backside, and he didn't see Aaron Schobel coming at him.
And Gus, nothing very significant, nothing about this, just an extra man coming, nobody blocking on the outside. You just wonder if Mo Williams is supposed to go to that side on the blitz. Aaron Schobel coming untouched, and that's one of the things that's so tough with young backs is blitz protection. Now, you don't want to blame it on him because I don't know for sure. I don't know the scheme, but you can't just let a guy, an end, come untouched from the outside.
He lost 8 yards on the play. Schobel had 6.5 sacks last year to lead the Bills. 3rd and 9 at the 23. They need to go to the 14. Culpepper all day to throw the ball underneath. Caught by Walsh. First down, Minnesota. Chris Walsh in traffic holds on. A 16-yard gain.
And first of all, Gus, watch this protection. Watch Dante have time to step up in the pocket, throw the ball, wait for Chris Walsh to come open right here, throws it right by the linebacker's ear. And Chris Walsh loves coming across the middle. Wide receiver out of Stanford, and every guy I've ever met from Stanford always is a little off. He's a big special team player. He loves contact. Name the last wide receiver that you love that loves contact that you know.
Phil McConkey.
Very good one.
First down and goal at the 7. Quick strike, Moss down the throw, and basically they skid it to Moss. But that was a huge catch for Chris Walsh because, you know, he spent his first 2 years in Buffalo, or 2 years rather, in Buffalo.
Chris Walsh is just a crazy man, running down on kickoffs, doing special teams, and being that third and fourth wide receiver. Loves going across the middle, and like I said, you got to be a little crazy if you graduate from Stanford. Just all the football players I've ever met from Stanford, there's just something missing, just something that allows them to go out there and be crazy like that.
Especially when you graduate with a degree in quantitative economics. What is that? Second down and goal at the 7. Culpepper handing it off to Mo Williams over the left side with running room. And if you're Mike Tice, former tight end, you have to like, former offensive line coach, you have to like the way this team right now is playing on the offensive end, especially your line.
I think so. This line has done a nice job against this Buffalo defense. It seems like thus far in the first half they've controlled the line of scrimmage, have had some nice drives now pounding the ball, this Buffalo Bills team. And huge third down though here, Gus. They really need to come away with 6 points instead of settling for a field goal.
Third down and goal at the 4. Culpepper looking in the end zone for Kleinsasser, incomplete. No flag on the play. Kleinsasser being guarded by Eddie Robinson, and the Vikings send on the kicking unit. So some confusion on the part of the Vikings. Randy Moss not going in motion, and Dante Culpepper had to signal for him to go in motion. That ball overthrown, so Doug Ryan comes in. He's been good today from 29. This is a 23-yard field goal attempt. Kyle Richardson, the holder, gets it down. It's up and good. 2:13 to go in the first half of play. Minnesota extends their lead 13-6. We're looking for 6 points, but have to settle for the Doug Ryan 22-yard field goal. And the Vikings eating up close to 5 minutes. So now the onus is on the Bills with 2:13 to go. Their offense is sputtered today after putting up big numbers last week, 31 points versus the New York Jets. And the Jets being pummeled today by New England. New England scoring 44 points against the Jets, 44-7, I believe, the score.
I think people are starting to believe that the New England Patriots actually won the Super Bowl last year.
Yes, it wasn't luck. Ryan sends it off. Charlie Rogers backpedaling, start from the 1. Rogers. And Rogers up to the 15, and he's knocked backwards. Brian Russell with the special teams tackle. Coming up on the Nextel halftime report, join Jim, Dan, Dion, and Boomer for all the scores and highlights. That's all coming up on the Nextel halftime report.
Because I think one of the surprises thus far for this Buffalo Bills team has been their inability to throw the ball against this young secondary of the Minnesota Vikings. I think they were so confident when they talked to us like it'd be easy pickings.
First down and 10 for Bledsoe at his own 18. Here's Drew to the sideline, caught. Molds lowers his head, gets out of bounds, close to first down. Tyrone Carter knocking him out of bounds, and the clock stops at 1:58. And that takes us to the 2-minute warning. 13-6, Vikings. Game to play in the first half. Eric Molds has just passed Elbert Golden Wheels Dubenian for second on the Bills' all-time receiving list. 5 catches, 38 yards today. Bledsoe underneath. Remersma with the grab, and there's a name we haven't called, Jay Remersma. Across the middle with a tight end that Bledsoe says reminds him a lot of Ben Coates. He gains 10 on the play. 1st and 10 at the 39. Bledsoe again, this time down the sideline, incomplete. Good coverage by Tyrone Carter.
And guess going back to Remersma, the middle of this field is going to be open, or you're going to get at least linebacker coverage with the big tight end, and it's just something that the Bills got to get back used to doing, because Jay Remersma can take control of the game, catching the ball over the middle of the field. You're going to see some 2-deep, double-deep coverage right now during this 2-minute drill, and if they can work him down the middle of the field, they have a chance.
Buffalo with 1 timeout remaining. 1:30 to play. 2nd down, 10 at the 39. Here's Bledsoe. Over the middle, caught by Larry Centers. Centers trying to get out of bounds. Centers does inside Vikings territory. So Larry Centers, the greatest pass-catching running back in the history of the league, picks up 14.
And Larry Centers does a very nice job of getting lateral and getting to the sideline and then getting yards. You got to think clock first, out of bounds, then get the first down, and then get as much as you can get. And Larry's caught enough balls to know where he is on the field and what the clock and situation mean.
138 straight games with the reception for Centers. 5-time Pro Bowler. 1st down and 10 at the 47. Bledsoe standing, looking. Price with the catch. Price trying to bring it back, and does. Can he get down the sideline? Yes, he does. Price steps out of bounds at the 5. Peerless Price with the sprinter speed, and he's knocked out of bounds by Corey Chavis after a gain of 37.
And we're going to call Peerless Price the great Houdini, because I don't know how he escaped from the middle of the field on a little short over route. Linebackers and safeties swirling all around him. But what an impressive move to get back outside. Josh Reed will throw a nice block, and he's down the sidelines.
So the Bills knocking on the door. 1st and 10. And a timeout called by Minnesota, their final timeout. And what a deflating drive if you're the Minnesota Vikings. You've played so well in the first half. And Buffalo just marching it right down the field with 1:58 to go. And speaking of marching, premiering Thursday on CBS, Survivor marches forward. This time we're headed to Thailand, and we have a surprise plan for them. We guarantee you'll never guess. Don't miss the premiere of Survivor Thailand coming up this Thursday, 8/7 Central on CBS. Drew Bledsoe finding Peerless Price, and as Deion Sanders said during the pregame show, he's coming up with the rack yards. Run after the catch.
There you go, Gus. And look at this group of Vikings, and he stops and goes the other way. Houdini getting down the sideline. Josh Reed actually made a block back there that allowed him to get outside. How about the acceleration by Peerless Price?
Young man from Akron, Ohio. 1st down and goal from the 9. 4-receiver package. Here comes a blitz. Bledsoe looks underneath. Caught Josh Reed. Touchdown Buffalo. Josh Reed finding a soft spot, and the rookie out of LSU comes up with his first career touchdown.
And we got to get that ball back to Josh. And you talk about a big-time play, not only for any receiver, but especially for a rookie coming across the field, getting up and making that ball and getting into the end zone. That is something.
Reed, there he got the ball. Somebody got that ball to him. And just like that, Reed scores a touchdown. The extra point is good. And with 1 minute and 58 seconds remaining in the half, Buffalo marches it right into the end zone. We're tied at 13.
You're going to watch Josh Reed come from the bottom of your screen, crossing route. Watch this ball. Watch him get up, make that catch in the hands, takes the shot, gets into the end zone. Not hearing footsteps at all. You caught that so many balls, Gus, at LSU. He's used to doing this, coming across the middle. A great job extending your arms, catching the ball with your hands, bringing it in, cupping that ball into your body so you don't lose it. And The only mistake he made was he flipped that ball to the official.
But somebody got it back to him. He had 17 career touchdowns at LSU. And talking to Greg Williams yesterday, Josh Reed was predicted as a first-round pick, and when he slid to the second round, the Bills got really excited, and they're happy to have him in Buffalo.
Well, very impressive, great receiving knowledge. You don't usually find receivers coming out of college that have caught that many balls and have that much experience, and Greg Williams was so excited talking to Josh with us yesterday, and it's just, Gus, you know, it goes back, and it's so important in this league, and we talked about that last Vikings drive. You've got to score touchdowns, and then now he's hanging on that ball like it's never going to come out. He's going to probably take that in and put it in his locker at halftime.
So the Bills took them no time to get it down the field. 1:07 time of possession on that drive. Bryant sends it away. Cedric James. James a burst of speed, and he is written down on the play. Philip Crosby after a 19-yard return. This week on The Late Show with David Letterman, don't miss Mike Myers, Matthew Perry, The Vines, Alicia Keys, and Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. Monday, Dave welcomes Al Pacino and New York Yankee Roger Clemens. It's all this week on The Late Show right here on CBS. Injured player on the field. See who that is. Can't tell right now. I believe it's Deshaun Polk, number 51.
And just the way that they're checking that knee, they're checking to see if it's loose. Now you see Deshaun pulling his knee up just to see. And if they're going to let him walk off, that's a good sign.
Little tender for Deshaun. 7th round pick in the year 2000 out of Arizona. Last year had 26 tackles on special teams. So if you're Mike Tice with a minute to go, what's going through your mind right now?
You know, I think you got a minute left. You've got some timeouts. You don't have any timeouts. And so I think you got to go ahead, maybe make a crack or two here, first or second play, see if you can get 15 or 20 yards and get up near the 50. And if you don't, go ahead and let the clock run out. But if you go ahead and get a big play here on one of the first couple plays, guys, you go for it. And mainly because you're at home, you've got the fans with you. And they actually have one timeout. I thought they actually had none left. The scoreboard says none. But our guys in our booth are saying one.
First down and 10 at the 27. Here's Culpepper to the sideline, and Kleinsasser gets out of bounds. You're actually right. They have no timeouts remaining, either team. As Kleinsasser gets out of bounds.
I just read the scoreboard.
You just read the score. Yeah, that's what you should do.
There you go. That shows what happens when you listen to the guys in the box, huh?
So Drew Bledsoe going over 30,000 yards on the last drive. What a career he's had, and what a new beginning he's having in Buffalo. 2nd and 2 at the 35. Culpepper in trouble. Reverses, fires on the run and out of bounds. Derek Alexander, the closest man to the football, guarded by Pearson Perella.
And that's what that blitz can do in these type of situations. You don't want Dante Culpepper to be able to set his feet. And clearly he was spinning out of the pocket right off the bat. The Bills come with the blitz, and now it's 3rd down. 50 seconds left, Gus. No timeouts, and maybe it's just time to run some of that time off the clock. But it doesn't look like it. They're still going for it. And watch the single coverage at the top of the screen. Looks like Dwayne Bates up top.
Moss is in the slot at the bottom of your screen. They'd love to get him deep. Underneath, incomplete ball intended for Bates, and a flag on the play. Chris Watson covering.
And that's exactly what you're looking for. Pass interference or a big play. Chris Watson doesn't think he was doing anything wrong. And no sooner did we say watch Dwayne Bates at the top of the screen. Dante Culpepper was looking right up there, and Chris Watson, you see him hanging on. You got a 5-yard chuck zone, but when that ball's in the air, you can't keep holding and running with the wide receiver.
First down and 10 at the 43. Culpepper. Culpepper fires. Incomplete. Mo Williams, the intended receiver. That prevent defense effective right now for Buffalo with 41 seconds remaining.
And really what Minnesota would like to do is get down at least around the 35-yard line. Doug Bryan's got a pretty strong leg. Go ahead and get right around that area. You can have at least a shot for 3 points. So you don't necessarily have to go for the old enchilada right here, Gus. 41 seconds left. No timeouts. You've really got to use the sidelines to your advantage. If you use the middle of your field and you see Scott Linehan getting ready, the offensive coordinator ready to dial up a play. If you use the middle of the field, get up and get that ball killed before too much time runs out.
2nd and 10 at the 43. Culpepper caught by Moss over the shoulder at the 45. Eddie Robinson stopping him. 15-yard gain, 27 seconds remaining in the half. As the Vikings get to the line of scrimmage, Culpepper spiking it to stop the clock.
That was a pretty good job. So they got a reception and the clock killed in about 21 seconds. And we talked about that. If you catch the ball away from the out of bounds, you've got to get the whole team to hustle up and be organized and get set.
Randy Moss, 5 catches, 68 yards in the first half.
How's that ratio looking?
Looking pretty good.
I think it is.
He's got 5 catches. He's run the ball once. But I believe you're right. Down the road, they're really going to have to look to other receivers, especially if they can't establish that running game.
Well, you see Dante Culpepper is singled up right down here. Derek Alexander, bottom of your screen.
Here's Culpepper. Double move. Alexander. It's thrown out of bounds.
Well, at least we're seeing the same things as Dante. That's the good news.
And I talked to Derek before the game, and he said that he had to go to the coaching staff and tell him that he wanted to have a chance to receive more balls. And in practice this week, they threw at him an awful lot. He said that's the most important thing. If you don't throw me the ball, I'm not able to establish my timing with Dante Culpepper. Therefore, in the game, I can't be as effective as I'd like to be. 3rd down 10 at the 42. They need to go to the 32 for first down. Culpepper steps up underneath. Randy Moss juggles it and has it knocked away. Eddie Robinson, Nate Clements,
and
both on the play.
I'm not going to tell you right now that that was a good thing Randy Moss dropped that ball if you're a Vikings fan, because 9 seconds left. There's no way that he comes down and they get the whole team set up and get either the field goal team on the field or kill that clock. And so that actually gives them a chance. Although it's 4th down right now, you either take your crack into the end zone or you run a 10, 12-yard square out right past the first down marker, get out of bounds. It should take about 6 seconds, and you get a chance at a field goal. So we'll see right now whether they're going for the field goal or they're going to launch one into the end zone. But I still think the smart play is the field goal right here.
4-receiver package. And a flag on the play. Delay of game against the Vikings.
Offense.
And so, Gus, I'm sure they were trying to figure out what they were going to do. And really, a 10-yard square out isn't that big of a deal against the prevent defense. Now it's 15. You're going to see a slot down here at the bottom with Randy Moss and Alexander. And that's what Scott Linehan's probably talking about. Hey, let's get that square out going.
Culpepper to Moss. Moss stays in bounds. And Moss hops out of bounds at the 26. There's your square out partner. And they're going to get the field goal team on as quick as they can.
And see, now if you're the Buffalo Bills, you got to know that's coming. You got to get somebody up in Randy Moss's face. That was like stealing. It was easy. Nobody was within 20 yards. Free crack at a field goal. We talked about right around the 35-yard line. Got it down to the 27.
So this one, a 44-yard attempt for Doug Bryan. He's good today from 29 and 22 yards out.
Over the line.
They get it down, it's up, and no good. No good. So the drive comes to a halt as the first half ends with the score, the Buffalo Bills 13, the Minnesota Vikings 13.
Just pulled it a little left, Gus, and you're talking about a free 3.
Wow, look at that. A game of inches, folks. It hits the upright. And Randy Moss, can't believe it. Coming up, Jim, Dion, Dan, and Boomer in our studios on the Nextel Halftime Report after this message and a word from your local station. Down, using his legs. Bledsoe standing strong in the pocket. The offensive line doing a better job protecting him, but the problem is that he hasn't had the ball as much as he'd like to. Here's Charlie Rogers from the 6. Rogers is dragged down from behind. Nicely done by number 42, Jack Brewer, a backup safety, a 16-yard return. So the Bills come onto the field to start the second half, and a player down for Minnesota. And while they tend to the injured Viking, we will step away. 13 apiece. Viking, he got his bell rung and has to be helped onto his feet off of the field. He's in his second season out of Wyoming. He is a little woozy.
Because I'm actually looking for a little bit more establishing the run from this Buffalo Bills offense here in the second half. Didn't get the ball as much, but maybe a little bit more Travis Henry. Although we're not going to see him on this first play, but 5 wides.
First down and 10 at the 23. Here's Bledsoe underneath, and it's caught. Molds. And now the officials say that it ricocheted off the turf.
And great acting by Eric Moles, and he knows it right there. Look at the look on his face. He knows. He's looking up at the screen. He's checking it out. He's like, I almost had those officials going. That ball's going to just skip, but watch how he just scoops it, a little A-Rod, and he just keeps going. Like, hey, nothing wrong. I had it the whole time.
Second down and 10 at the 23. Here's Bledsoe, and this time Riemersma short-armed it, and the Bills have gone away from the running game. Travis Henry so successful last week, and you haven't called his name as many times as I'm sure he'd like.
And you know, that really is significant when you talk about play action and setting things up, and it allows the Minnesota defense, and there's Kevin Gilbride trying to say, hey, we got to make something happen here in the passing game. But sometimes the passing game is helped out tremendously by the running game.
Third down 10 at the 23. Buffalo 0 for 4 on third down conversions. That one batted down. Guess who? Tyrone Carter. He's been everywhere this afternoon.
The converted safety over to corner.
And they have been picking on him.
And you know, sometimes you get corners going over to safety, but safety going over to corner, you see the great job. Carter coming in and breaking that play up with the offhand. Usually a guy isn't fast enough to play corner and he goes to safety. Here's a guy that's fast as a safety and they pull him over to play corner.
So onto the field, Brian Mormon to punt for the third time. Standing at the 8-yard line, Dwayne Bates, the deep man for Minnesota. Mormon gets away, a high spiraling kick. Bates from the 36. Bates with some running room. Bates still on his feet. Dwayne Bates needs a block. Dwayne Bates to the 10. Cuts it in. Dives. He's down at the 1. Dwayne Bates electrifying this crowd here at the Metrodome. Buffalo continues to have problems on special teams.
And Gus, special teams is all about attitude, intensity, and tackling. And you're going to see some poor tackling, but some nice jobs. Look at that. There's 4 Bills overrunning the ball carrier. There's a missed tackle. 1, 2, 3. And Dwayne Bates, the Buffalo Bills are going to have to address this issue. And Dwayne Bates, you see him stop and maybe cut back and just get pushed out of bounds before he goes into the end zone. and Danny Smith has to wonder what is going on with my players.
A 61-yard punt return. First down and goal at the 3. Moss in motion. They hand it off. And Michael Bennett is stacked up and taken down. He may have gained a half-yard on the play. Ron Edwards, the first man to him. But last week versus the New York Jets, the Buffalo Bills special teams gave up 2 kickoff returns for touchdowns. Chad Morton, a 98-yarder and a 96-yarder. They had a punt blocked, and today they give up a 61-yard punt return to set the Vikings up deep inside Buffalo territory. Second down and goal now at the 2. Line saucer Mo Williams in the game. Culpepper looking for Randy Moss. Touchdown! Unbelievable! With one hand. Unbelievable! Randy Moss. What a catch by the freak! A freaky catch! Wow!
And he's going to push off a little bit with his left, Gus. Nate Clements, you remember what happened last time. Nate stripped him of the ball. You see a little push off with the left and pull the right arm back around and catch it. Like it's just another day at the office.
Holy mackerel. Extra point is up and good. The Randy ratio paying off for Minnesota. Courtesy of Dwayne Bates' run back. And the Minnesota Vikings take a 20-13 lead. And we'll stay right here. Randy Moss giving Minnesota the lead here in the it almost doesn't matter if he stares at that. The Vikings take a 20-13 lead over the Bills. Charlie Rogers set to return from his own 10. Rodgers busted open. Rodgers! Charlie Rogers with the answer. Just like that, the Buffalo Bills go 90 yards. No flags. Now take a look at Danny Smith. The first time the special teams coaches had a chance to celebrate all year.
The first time, Gus, they can actually call them special teams, because it's been ugly up until that point this whole season for the Buffalo Bills. And you talk about creating a hole, and Coach Smith, he needed one, because it was getting ugly out there.
Mike Hollis in to attempt the extra point. Great hold by Mormon, a high snap, and he sets it up. And with 13:24 to go, here in the third quarter, Mike Tice is getting grayer by the moment. We're tied at 20. Danny Smith with that nervous twitch on the sideline. Charlie Rogers finally giving him something to smile about with the return for a touchdown. Our score is tied at 20 apiece. Mike Hollis sending it away. That ball bobbled by Chapman. And Chapman is chopped down at the 22, a 16-yard return.
And Gus, Deion Sanders on the NFL Today this morning was talking about returning kicks. And he said if you're the kick returner and you get up in the hole and see the kicker's eyes, it's time to strike up the band. Watch Charlie Rogers. He hits the hole. There's the kicker's eyes. The band starts playing. It's all over. The only thing he's not doing, do your Deion high step.
Your prime-time high step, right?
With elegance and class, he said. He never was throwing his helmet or rubbing it in.
A 90-yard return for Charlie Rogers, the second career kickoff return. First down and 10 now for Minnesota. Here's Culpepper, sidestepping, looking for the home run. Throws it up for Moss. Oh, he bobbled it out of bounds. It was underthrown, and Moss tried to slow up and make the catch.
And you know what? Randy Moss does a great job opening up his hips, but I think he was not only trying to catch that ball, he was going to try to bring it in and keep going down the sidelines. Watch, it looks like he takes his eyes off. Right there, he's got it, and he starts looking forward right there, and he didn't have the ball in. He wanted 6. He didn't just want a 40-yard play. Little push by Randy. Watch him turn around, and his eyes start heading upfield. He didn't have the ball yet. And that's a classic. I don't care who you are, Jerry Rice, Randy Moss. If you take your eye off the ball and try to run and you don't have it secured, it's coming out.
So an offensive explosion here in the second half. Bennett following his block with a huge opening. Michael Bennett over the 35 up to the 37. Jason Bostic with the tackle, but it's a gain of 16.
And the one thing this Vikings team has done, Gus, is they've run the ball better than Buffalo today. They've stuck with their plan. They've mixed it up well. They haven't just relied on the pass. They haven't been one-dimensional. And Mike Tice, you see the rookie coach talking up to Scott Linehan, his offensive coordinator, saying, hey, let's keep dialing it up. Let's keep pounding at these guys. We got them wearing down.
Bennett, 7 carries, 37 yards. He's the lone setback, play action. Culpepper rolling out of the pocket, looking, and a tiptoe out of bounds. Ushered out of bounds on the play by Chidi Ahanatu, the former Tampa Bay Buccaneer and St. Louis Ram. And they said they wanted to look for Randy Moss 40% of the time. They call it the Randy ratio. Well, right now we're at 52.
52, that's not a bad ratio. You know, I was thinking about my ratio.
What was your ratio?
My ratio was like about 8%. And I was trying to get it up into double digits, but everybody had their hand out.
Well, when you have Jerry Rice, John Taylor, Roger Craig, Tom Rathman, it's pretty hard for Brent Jones to get some catches, but I think you did okay.
He snuck in there every once in a while.
Second down, 13 from the 36. Quick strike. And that one caught by Walsh, and Walsh is drilled at the 41 after a gain of 5. Chris Walsh, it's not too late. Fantasy football leagues are still forming. To sign up now, just click on Fantasy at CBSSportsline.com or on America Online. Enter keyword CBS Sportsline.
I want to know what the Walsh ratio is. That's 2 catches.
About minus 1%.
Hey, come on, he's making an impact.
Right.
You know, before this game's over, we're going to see Randy Moss throw the ball. They keep going back to that fake reverse. We saw him running on it once. I bet you he's just begging to throw that ball.
Third down, 8 at the 41. They need to go to the 49 for a first down. Culpepper out of the shotgun. Here's Dante under pressure. Somehow broke the tackle. Culpepper dropped the football. It's loose. Picked up. Kendrick Office picked it up, but was he down?
And Gus, I did not hear a whistle. These officials, they're as good as anybody about figuring out whether a guy is down or not, and that makes me think that it actually was a fumble. And we're going to be able to go to the replay. You see Mike Tice cool and calm right in front of the play. Let's watch it regular speed. I think it came out, Gus, before his knee hit.
Well, the Buffalo offense has trotted onto the field, and they've spotted the ball at the 35.
And that was the call on the field. I haven't seen a challenge. Mike Tice, his arms are folded. You haven't seen the button hit or the flag come out.
Second fumble for Culpepper, and that flag is right in his back pocket, and Minnesota turns it over. Drew Bledsoe and company at the Minnesota 35. Travis Henry taken down, nowhere to go. That's number 56, Jim Nelson, coming up and making the hit.
And you just got to be impressed, Gus, with this Minnesota Vikings defense. We saw them the end of last year. They were horrific. Willie Shaw's come in, was the defensive back coach, now the defensive coordinator. And he has just done a tremendous job getting these guys ready. One of his old players from the Oakland Raiders, Greg Beaker, coming over to be that coach/player at middle linebacker, really helping this team have a whole new look this year.
Second and 13 at the 38. Bledsoe in trouble. Bledsoe taken down and wrapped up at the 40. Kenny Mixon.
The mix getting up. And we talked about how tough Kenny Mixon is against the run. Watch him outside on the pass rush, fighting, fighting, fighting. got that arm, come back. That is a great effort. He didn't just run by, fall on the ground, kept his motor running. Kenny Mixon, a big sack for this Minnesota defense.
A loss of 3, 3rd down 16 at the 41. The Bills need to go to the 25 for a first down. Here's Bledsoe firing up top, and it's caught. Josh Reed gets to the 19, first down Buffalo.
How impressive is Josh Reed for a rookie in this league? And we talked about how many balls he caught at LSU. And what a call, this Buffalo Bills. Look at, there's a bunch formation here to the right side, and you're just going to see out of your screen, all of a sudden pops, and there's the receiver coming out of there. And that is so impressive.
Josh Reed, 3 catches, 39 yards. First down and 10 for the Bills at the 19 of Minnesota. Centers and Henry in the backfield. Out of the eye. Second man through is Henry. Great big tackles. Travis carrying purple jerseys inside the 10. Travis Henry getting to the 7, a pickup of 12. And some good mixing and matching for Kevin Gilbride, the offensive coordinator. He is keeping this Minnesota team off balance right now.
And Kevin Gilbride is a very sharp coordinator. He runs a complex scheme. You really have to be a veteran team to be able to pick up on what he's bringing to the table. But these Bills are a veteran team, and they're making some things happen on offense.
First down goal at the 6. Henry over the left side. And he is swarmed under. Travis Henry goes down. Fred Robbins, Willie Offord, both there.
Boy, Gus, that first down to 6, that is just a perfect time to run that play action. You saw Travis Henry getting some big yards the play before, but now you're still on the 8-yard line, and second down and play action isn't going to make an impact for you.
Buffalo has thrown the ball 25 times. They've won it 8.
And watch Eric Moulds. Drew Bledsoe was staring him down coming out of the huddle.
Second and goal at the 8. Here's Bledsoe. Quick fire. Centers looking for the end zone. And what a nice open field tackle by Ronnie Bradford.
And that was a big-time tackle by Ronnie Bradford. Larry Centers, open field, grabs the ball coming in the flat, coming right at you. Larry Centers gets the ball, turns, and right on the money, and Bradford does a great job of wrapping up and holding on. How many times, Gus, do you see that play broken for a touchdown?
Larry Centers in his 13th year couldn't turn the switch on as quickly as he wanted to. Third down goal at the 1. Big play time for the Bills and the Vikings. Centers and Henry in the backfield. Draw play. Henry nowhere to go. He will not get there.
And Gus, I'm not a huge fan of the draw play on third down going in inside the 5. You got to have a lot of things happen for you. A lot of pressure up inside, penetration. You see, bang, Henry running right into Chris Hovan and the rest of the defensive line for the Minnesota Vikings. A lot of things have to go right on that draw for those lanes to clear up.
Lemansky Hall plugging up the hole. And that brings on Mike Hollis to attempt a 20-yarder. He's good today for 52 and 20 yards. It's up and good. And Buffalo takes the lead 23-20. So another shootout for the Bills. 6:14 to go, and we're only in the third quarter. Buffalo takes a 23-20 lead. This will be Doug Chapman inside the 5. And Chapman gets to the 30, spins, and goes down at the 36. A 33-yard return. Charlie Rogers with the special teams tackle. Don't forget, Monday on CBS, it's the King of Queens, followed by Yes Dear, then Everybody Loves Raymond with Ray Romano, Ted Danson and Becker. CSI on a special night, and it ends with The Late Show with David Letterman. So we've got a good old-fashioned shootout here in the second half of play. First down and 10 at the 37. The Vikings down by 3. Michael Bennett in the backfield. They give it to him. He cuts it back. Tries to give his blockers some time. And he pops it up to the 41-yard line. For an update on Denver, San Francisco, here's Jim Nantz in New York. All right, Jim, a great story on the NFL Today about Brian Griese and his on-again, off-again relationship with his head coach, and whether or not he'll be pulled, or whether or not he'll remain in the game. And you played for Coach Shanahan when you were a 49er, and he has no problems getting the quarterback out of there, does he?
Not at all. He has high expectations for all his players, and that's kind of that's an on-the-fence game for me, Gus, because you think so much of Mike Shanahan, and of course former 49er. So I better stick with my team, but I'll wish Coach Shanahan all the best as well.
You're a member of the media now. You don't have a team anymore. You are
the CBS
unbiased
team, baby.
That's right. That's your only team. 3rd down 4 at the 43. Here's Culpepper on the short drop. Fires to the sideline. Whoa! And a flag on the play. This may be pass interference, and Greg Williams is going ballistic. He can't believe it.
I think that they think Randy Moss is pushed off a couple times today, and there's been some good hand checking going on out there, and they're trying to say it's offensive interference, but they're not getting the call.
So illegal contact.
And that's what Coach Williams is saying. Give me a break.
Number 26, defense. A 5-yard penalty and a first down.
Antoine Winfield.
Now let's watch the illegal. You've got 5 yards. That's right about 5, maybe 6.
That's kind of a questionable call there.
That's a cheap call.
Questionable call.
And no wonder Coach Williams is going crazy.
Because Randy Moss basically just ran into Antoine Winfield. First down and 10 at the 48. Second man through is Michael Bennett. And Bennett stacked up and knocked backwards with the football. Coy Wire, London Fletcher in on the play. London Fletcher, what an amazing story. He comes from St. Louis, where he signed a 5-year, $17 million deal with the Bills, a $4 million signing bonus, but he's been fighting through adversity his entire life, and we'll tell you about that in just a moment. Second down and 8 at midfield. Culpepper to the sideline. Kleinsasser is tackled out of bounds. Nate Clement taking out his legs, but Kleinsasser gets to the 40.
Kleinsasser ratio's going up, baby.
Gain of 10.
Keep it rolling. And you got to be excited about the tight ends for this Minnesota Viking team. Jim Kleinsasser and Byron Chamberlain, the all-pro on the bench, got a sore knee, and he's going to be coming back next week. Of course, Mike Tice, former tight end in this National Football League.
10 years in Seattle, former Viking. 1st and 10 at the 40. Culpepper looking for the home run. Moss pushes up. Got it! Touchdown! Touchdown, Randy Moss. But he certainly pushed off.
And there might be a hold, Gus, coming back. If they didn't call the push off, there's a flag. There's going to be a hold. And this one's going to be coming back.
A holding call against the Vikings.
And what a great battle between Nate Clements and Randy Moss all over the field today.
Holding. Number 23 offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
That's Michael Bennett.
And you know, one of the things that we talked about as a young back is having trouble picking up blitz protection and knowing who to block and just not used to pass blocking. Let's watch Michael Bennett, number 23 right here. You see him sneaking out to the side. Let's see if we can see the hold. Yeah, he actually comes out of the picture. Boy, it sure was away from the play. You see the hand checking going on right there. And, you know, it didn't look as much from that angle as a push-off, but, hey, that's part of it, Gus. You know, defensive players are going to hold. Offensive players are going to push. That's how it works. You see Mike Tice saying, hey, come on, that wasn't a hold.
First down and a long 20 from midfield now. Bo Williams looking for a hold. And closes up quickly. Ron Edwards in on the play. Mike Tice disappointed.
And you know, Gus, one of the things that sometimes you lose sight of with the phenomenal talent that is Randy Moss is Dante Culpepper putting those balls on the money where only Randy can get them. I mean, Dante has thrown some huge throws today. It's been spectacular.
What a fun brand of football to watch. Basically, it's like fair catch football. Throw it up, and Moss has a chance to come down with it. Culpepper. This time underneath. It's caught by Alexander at the 34. His first catch of the day. He's a few yards short of the first down. It's a gain of 17.
And when Derek Alexander is singled up backside, you've got to let him work the space. And we had him in Kansas City for a couple years, and he just put on a clinic every game that we had him. The Vikings pursued him aggressively this offseason, knowing that they needed a complement to Randy Moss. But just having him there isn't enough. You actually have to utilize him. And we've seen a few balls go his way, but still not as many as you'd think getting that single coverage.
4-receiver package. Moss in the slot. They hand it off to Mo Williams. And Williams taken down. London Fletcher with the tackle. And it's a first down for the Vikings. Let's take a look at the team leaders today. Culpepper, great numbers, 15 of 30, no mistakes, the most important thing. Michael Bennett has split time running the football with Mo Williams and Doug Chapman. He has 45 yards rushing, and the freak, Randy Moss, 7 catches, 91 yards, and a touchdown. First down and 10 at the 29. Culpepper down the seam, wide open, touchdown! Dwayne Bates. Wait a minute, no signal, now you get it. Dante Culpepper putting that ball on a line.
And Gus, that is a classic example of what happens when the defense concentrates solely on Randy Moss. Watch the right side of your screen. Safety's cheating over to Moss's side. Dante Culpepper, a tremendous job of moving the safety with his eyes. Looked left, came back right, and you see why the officials waited for long to signal touchdown.
Doug Ryan, the extra point, and he missed it. Doug Ryan misses the extra point. 1:30 to go in the third quarter. Dante Culpepper throwing strikes. Dwayne Bates is all smiles. He's found a home here in Minnesota. Was waived by the Chicago Bears, but comes up with a big 29-yard touchdown on an 8-play, 63-yard drive. The Vikings with a 3-point lead. Rodgers from the 5. Can he do it again? Gets outside. And Rodgers out of bounds at the 24. Make it the 28, excuse me.
Let's go back to that last touchdown. Here's Randy Moss. Look at the coverage. 1, 2, and watch this safety that's supposed to be looking over here, but ends up eating over here. Billy Jenkins. Here's Dwayne Bates in the slot. Now watch right here. Watch the safety. When he turns those hips right there, bang. There's nobody here on Dwayne Bates. You know why he turned his hips? Because Dante Culpepper threw his eyes right to Randy Moss, moving the safety on top, and the more that Dante Culpepper uses his eyes, the more his receivers are going to be wide open.
First down and 10 for Bledsoe. He can throw it a little bit too. Bledsoe in trouble though. Flags on the play, and Bledsoe sacked at the 21 by Kenny Mixon. That's the 5th sack of the day by the Vikings.
And I think Jay Remersma was getting hauled down the middle of the field, getting held.
And it goes against Minnesota.
And I don't think Mike Tice liked that call. And being a former tight end, he knows what it's like. They don't call holding when linebackers are holding tight ends. At least half the time they don't.
And a first down.
So a first down for the Bills. Greg Williams a little more peaceful on the sideline with his team down by 3. First down and 10 now at the 34 for Buffalo. Henry skipping, spinning. Greg Biekert with the tackle along with Honoree Crockett. But it's a gain of 4.
And Gus, I just get this sense that Eric Moulds has been quiet for a little while, that all of a sudden, we've seen Peerless Price do some things, and obviously some of the coverage dictates going to Peerless, but I feel like Drew knows that he has to get the ball into his big playmaker's hands. And Eric Moulds, if he gets a chance to look off a safety or get some single coverage, going to take his crack.
Well, last week he had 112 yards receiving, 95 in the second half. 2nd and 6 from the 38. Bledsoe trying to get out of the pocket. Bledsoe taken down. What a play. Lorenzo Bromell, a 5th-year man out of Clemson.
And watch Lorenzo stay with it. He keeps coming and feels that, hey, I'm getting close to a sack. I got him once. Oh, he's getting away. Now come back here, big dog. Throw him on the ground. And we talked about Kenny Mixon coming in from Miami and making an impact. Lorenzo Bromell as well, coming from Miami and solidifying this Vikings defensive front.
And that's the end of the 3rd quarter with the score 26-23. We'll be back to the Metrodome after this message and a word from your local station. Welcome back, 26-23. The Vikings lead the Buffalo Bills in the 10th all-time meeting between these two teams. The Vikings leading the series 7-2. Here's Bledsoe on 3rd and 2 underneath. That's a first down. Reed. And Reed gets to the 38. Excuse me, not a first down. Ronnie Bradford with the tackle on 3rd and 20. So they bring on the punt team. And Mormon will stand at the 24. Dwayne Bates back deep at the 19. Last time Bates touched the ball, it was a 61-yard return to set up a touchdown, and Mormon gets off a bomb. Bates allows it to go over his head and out of bounds. That one out of the end zone, a 61-yard punt, but a net of 41 yards. Watching the NFL on CBS in the game between the Bills and the Vikings. I'm Gus Johnson along with Brent Jones. Our score 26-23 as Dante Culpepper steps back. In trouble, Culpepper, and loses it. That's a loose ball. It's live. Who wants it? It looks like the Bills have it on a touchdown. Ron Edwards falls on the football in the end zone. And that is the 3rd fumble of the day for Dante Culpepper.
And what a huge change in momentum. And sometimes, Gus, when you're a big, strong quarterback, you think you can get out of everything, but these linemen on the other side are big and strong too. And Dante's going to just try to spin out of this, just go down. You see him moving the ball to the other arm, and its timing's just bad. Takes a shot, and then it's a mad scramble for that ball. And the big man, big 98, Ron Edwards, gets his first 6.
And a great job by Aaron Schobel to slap the ball out of Culpepper's hands. And the extra point is good. And the Bills reclaim the lead, 27-26. And look at the big guys rumble. (30-26) our score. Buffalo taking the lead. We'll set with James from the 5. And James pops it outside. Can he turn the corner? Yes, he does. And flags all over the field. 2 flags being thrown in the vicinity of the 30-yard line, a 31-yard return. Holding called against Minnesota. Mike Tice visibly frustrated.
During the return, holding. 89 of the return team. A 10-yard penalty. First down.
That's Matt Sircone, and another look at the Culpepper fumble, his third of the day.
And Pat Williams, just after Aaron Schobel sets him up, takes a lick. There's Big Pat's chance. Fall on a big man. Touchdown, touchdown. We could be showing this forever. He missed it.
And you know, hey, that's what he was thinking.
That's exactly what those linemen think.
First down and 10 at the 18. 4-point lead for the Bills. Back and forth for both teams today. This is Doug Chapman. Chapman over the 20 to the 21, a pickup of 3.
Now, if you're the Vikings, you can't panic. You still have almost the whole fourth quarter to go. Don't get out of your game plan. You've done a great job of mixing up the run and the pass. You don't just go to all pass right now. Buffalo's going to be still bringing some heat, some blitz, try to get to Dante. And there's Coach Mike Tyson. He knows you got to keep that balance going with 13.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
Second down and 7 at the 21. Brian Saucer sets up as the tight end at the bottom of your screen as Moss comes in motion. Inside handoff, and it's Chapman again. This time stopped by Chris Watson. Now next Sunday, the NFL on CBS rocks with single-header games, including Priest Holmes and the Chiefs taking on Tom Brady and those Patriots, while the Jets battle the Dolphins or the Bills get after the Broncos. Check your local listing. It all begins at noon with Jim, Dion, Dan, and Boomer on the NFL Today. For more, go to NFL.com. America Online, keyword NFL.com. Third down and 2 at the 26. And the handoff, Mo Williams spinning, keeps his legs turning, and picks up the first down.
Now, that is a gutsy call, and that's patience. 3rd and 2. Usually this Vikings team would go right to the air, Gus. Stick on the ground, 3rd and 2. Let Mo Williams pound it up in there, get the first down. Excellent job of not panicking. I think it caught the Bills by surprise.
And Scott Linehan with the play calling, and you're seeing a lot of wing T. It looks like the wing T when Randy Moss goes in motion or does that kind of little reverse thing.
A little slot action that definitely, and sometimes trips, Gus, and I still think you're going to see him before this day's over on the reverse or that reverse pass.
First down and 10 at the 30-yard line. Here's Culpepper throwing it up. Alexander, and it's thrown behind him. And they are really out of sync with each other.
And Gus, you nailed it right there. They just look out of sync. And Derek looks frustrated. Dante's frustrated. And a couple times he's thrown the ball to Derek and pointed to his eyes like, you got to look, you got to look. And I think Derek Alexander came from a offense in Kansas City where they didn't have those sight adjustments as much as they are requiring him to have here in Minnesota. And he's still getting used to it.
The numbers on Dante Culpepper, no interceptions, but he's fumbled 3 times. Second down and 10 at the 30. Handoff to Mo Williams, galloping around the right side, cuts it in. Williams still running, and Williams out of bounds at the 41. Should be good enough for a first down. A 12-yard pickup.
And that was all Mo Williams. That play was bottled up. The defense of the Buffalo Bills all over him. And he does a nifty little sidestep, little hurdle. And watch Mo Williams and the Vikings continue to try to pound it out. Bottled up right there. Nice move. Little push down, step over, and he keeps going for 12.
Matador defense by Chris Watson. The numbers for Mo, first and 10 at the 42. Williams stretches it out, breaks it up. Williams, one man to beat, taken down at the 35. And what a block by Adam Hayer. Adam Hayer really laying the wood on a Buffalo Bill, a gain of 23.
And Gus, Mo Williams, running back by committee, continues to excel. Watch him get outside the blocking left side of the line. Huge hole, get downfield, Mo Williams. And you know what's impressive to me? The Vikings didn't panic. We talked about it 2 minutes ago. Stick with your ground game. You're getting some big yards.
There's Hayer, first and 10 at the 35. Quick strike, Moss over the shoulder grab. How did he make that catch? And he gets to the 29. Randy Moss getting up slowly. And just a reminder, 60 minutes will be coming up next, except on the West Coast. Moss on the day, 8 catches, 96 yards. Minnesota driving. Moss also with the touchdown. 2nd down and 5 at the Buffalo 30. Here's the reverse. Moss gets outside. He's looking to throw it. Lets it go! Incomplete. You've been calling for it all day, partner. You finally got it, and Randy Moss got wrecked.
And you know what?
Hendrick Office drilled it.
And Gus, Derek Alexander was open by 30 yards, and Randy couldn't get around the defensive lineman. Took a huge shot, and he's again. Anybody that doesn't think Randy Moss wants to play or is tough, you watch him stay in after this hit. You see him getting around, trying to get that ball, and he just takes the shot, threw off his back foot. Derek Alexander, watch Derek Alexander down at the bottom of your screen. You think he's open? 30 yards wide open, but Randy takes that shot, can't throw off his front foot, and the ball doesn't get there. That was a touchdown. And we talked about that fake reverse all day. Time was a-coming. Boy, one more block, Gus, and that was an easy touchdown.
And the injured player is Antoine Winfield. And it was Winfield delivering the blow on Moss. Both players getting up slowly. Kendrick Office giving chase.
And Antoine Winfield can hit as tough as any DB and as hard as there is in the league. Look at this shot. Randy, bang, right in the face mask.
Wow.
And now Randy knows what it's like to be Dante Culpepper. And it's just so tough because you could see that Randy saw Alexander wide open, but he had to get around that defensive end and plant his feet, and he couldn't do it. He was throwing off his back foot. Didn't want to have that ball stripped or knocked out of his hand by Winfield. And that's just a tough play as a wide receiver on that reverse pass.
But more importantly, Vikings are faced with a 3rd down and 5 at the 30. Moss out of the game. They're 5 of 11 on 3rd down conversions. Here's Culpepper. He can run. Culpepper fires to the sideline. It's caught. Bates turns it up. 1st down, Minnesota. Hey, Nate Clement covering, but it's a pickup of 17.
And you know what they call that formation here in Minnesota? The Roberto Duran formation.
What do you mean?
No Moss.
No. That means they're not giving up.
That's exactly right. Holy cow, you know what? He was out for one play. He took a sip of water, and he's right back in the huddle.
1st down at the Buffalo 13. Moss back in the game. He'll line up at wide receiver at the bottom of your screen. Doug Chapman in the backfield inside the red zone now for Minnesota. Vikings with their rhythm. Culpepper looking for Moss in the corner. Broken up. Chris Watson there defensively. No flag on the play.
Boy, and that's a good play by Chris Watson. We've called his name out today a couple of times. This time for actually some nice coverage. But that's a huge mismatch. Randy Moss on Chris Watson. You see Chris use his technique, his back pedal, get up. They're both fighting for the ball. Randy thought he got interfered with. But hey, that's just hand-to-hand combat that goes down in this red zone in the National Football League.
2nd down and 10 at the 13. Watson, 4th year out of Eastern Illinois. He usually is the nickelback, but with Winfield out of the game, he has major responsibilities. Here's Moss. They give it to Chapman. He fumbled. And somehow the ball hit the turf and bounced right back into his hands. London Fletcher and Pearson Prelo with the tackle.
And I'm not so sure Doug Chapman just had that ball slip right out of his hands. I don't know that he got hit. Let's see. Does he switch the ball? Oh, it just slides right out of his arms.
Wow.
What a break. Bounces right up back to him. And he had a big hole right there. You got to wipe that sweat off your arms, Doug. Get a towel.
3rd down and 4 at the 7. Mo Williams standing next to Culpepper. Klein Saucer back there as well. They give it to Mo Williams on the track. Staying on his feet. He stood up at the 5 and taken backwards to the 10. Chidi Ahanatu, the 10th year man out of Cal, with the play on defense for Buffalo. And that'll bring up 4th down and 2. And Mike Tice is thinking about it.
Well, he ought to think about it. I don't like that call, running the ball. We talked about being patient, but 3rd and 4, right inside the 10, with 8 minutes left in the game. You got to take 2 cracks at the end zone, or at least at the 1st down.
So Mike Tice electing to go for it on 4th down and 2. Bates and Moss at the top of your screen. Alexander at the bottom. Mo Williams in the backfield. Here's Culpepper, slides out, fires, caught, touchdown, Alexander! Derek Alexander finding a soft spot in the end zone. And here comes Doug Bryant to attempt the extra point. It's up, and he missed it again. That is the 2nd missed extra point by Doug Bryant. Unbelievable. 32-30 the score, Vikings with the lead. This is Rodgers, 2 yards deep in his own end zone. And Rodgers gets up to the 20, making it to 21. And Doug Bryant has not missed more than 2 extra points in a season his entire career, and he's missed 2 in 1 game today.
Yeah, and that's going to be so frustrating as a kicker, Gus. But if I'm on the Minnesota Vikings sideline right now, I go give Doug Bryant 5, shake his hand, lift him up, because the way this game is going, you might need Doug Bryant to kick a game-winning field goal at the end. Don't let him go off by himself. Go talk to him. If you're Mike Tice, hey, encourage him. Everybody has tough times. You don't expect that as a kicker. Don't let him isolate himself.
The most he's ever missed. He was 60 of 62 on PATs back in '94 with San Francisco. Here's Drew Bledsoe. Bledsoe firing it down the field. Nobody home. All right. And once again, a look at the team leaders, this time on the Bills sideline. Bledsoe, the numbers. 1 touchdown, no interception, 17 of 27. 212. Travis Henry, 10 carries, 28 yards rushing. And Peerless Price, big receiving game, 5 catches, close to 90 yards.
Well, and how about Travis Henry with only 28 yards? That's been a big part of the story today. Minnesota's defense has made Buffalo one-dimensional, taking away their running game.
2nd and 10 at the 22. Bledsoe fires it out to Price. Price looking for an opening, nothing home. Corey Chavis, the former Arizona Cardinal, with the tackle.
And this Minnesota defense looks so much different, Gus, when we saw them at the end of the season last year. Willie Shaw, and what a phenomenal job he's done. I saw him come into Oakland here 4 or 5 years ago and take the 30th ranked Raiders defense and bring him into the top 5 the next year. It's amazing that he's even available to be coaching in Minnesota.
3rd down and 8 from the 24. The Bills are 1 of 8 on 3rd down conversions. They need to go to the 32. Bledsoe underneath. Reed makes the catch and picks up big yardage after the play and a flag. It'll be a face mask penalty against Minnesota. So tack on even more yardage to the 28-yard reception.
And Gus, after the game that Josh Reed has had today, how can you not cover him? That was an absolute blown coverage. He was in the slot. Nobody came over to even step in front of him.
Personal foul. Grasping the face mask. 25 defense. 15-yard penalty. And a 1st down.
And watch the middle of the field. You're going to see Josh Reed sneak right down here. There's nobody on him. There's nobody around. What a job of turning and opening up his hips all behind him. In fact, Drew Bledsoe got so excited, he fired it right away. Didn't expect a wide open play like that. You see the face mask after the play.
So it's a 43-yard gain as they tack on the 15 yards. Henry running over the right side, and Henry is stopped at the 29. Lemansky Hall. And Lemansky Hall, an interesting story for the Vikings. He was released at the end of training camp. And last week, The Vikings played the Bears, and they lacked that leadership on defense, especially when Greg Biekert went out of the game with a cramp in his calf, and he was re-signed on Monday.
Now that's a funny thing to go from being cut and out of football to starting the next week.
Exactly.
That's a little roller coaster ride for you.
Second down and 6 at the 29-yard line. 5:29 to play in the fourth quarter. Bledsoe in trouble. Gets out of the pocket and dumps it. Wise decision for Drew Bledsoe.
Gus, unbelievably, Josh Reed is uncovered again. Watch him in the slot down here. He's going to sneak over the middle of the field, but Bledsoe gets taken out. The Vikings better cover Josh Reed before this is over. Look at him in the middle of the field. There's nobody there. That's a touchdown. Drew doesn't see him, gets flushed. I guess you ought to just expect to throw to Josh Reed right here because nobody's covered him for 2 plays.
Don't forget, 60 minutes coming up next, except on the West Coast. Third down, 6 at the 29. Fans on their feet in Minnesota. Bledsoe over the middle. Reed again. Josh Reed with the grab and the first down.
Where is a safety or a corner, a nickel man, anybody on Josh Reed? You're going to see him go inside against a linebacker one-on-one. Linebacker can't cover Josh Reed. Watch him, he's in the slot right here, inside, going off. Gets inside the linebacker right there, slips inside, big hole, middle of the field. And Bledsoe keeps picking it up. Fire it up, keep finding the holes, Josh.
And in only his second game, Reed with 6 catches, 98 yards, and a touchdown. Here's Bledsoe, empty backfield. Bledsoe underneath, this time it's Peerless Price, smelling the end zone, dives forward, and is downed at about the 1. Willie Offord, the rookie safety, with the tackle. A 12-yard pickup for Peerless Price.
And partner, this game's turned into the shootout that we thought it would be, although the first half we were talking about the defensive backfields for both teams, and everybody came out in the second half just running and gunning. And it seems like the Vikings' plan is to double Eric Moulds, take him out of the game, and you've seen Peerless Price and Josh Reed step up in a huge way for this Buffalo Bill offense.
Greg Williams determined to go for 2 if they score. First down and goal at the 1. Philip Crosby in at fullback. They hand it off to Henry. He dropped it. It's loose. Who wants it? And Buffalo somehow dodges a bullet. Holy mackerel.
That ball was on the ground, Gus, and I can't believe that number 21 for the Minnesota Vikings, I believe it was, Corey Chavis, tried to pick it up. And watch this ball on the ground, and watch Corey right here. Fall on it. Don't pick it up and run. He knocks it away. You gotta fall on the ball. No heroes, no 95-yard touchdown return. At that point, fall on the ball. You see him try to scoop it.
And it was Bledsoe. Bledsoe fell on the football. A loss of 2. Second down goal at the 3-yard line. Here's Drew Bledsoe. Looking. Fires in the back of the end zone, and he dumps it out of bounds. And a flag, a late flag has been thrown. It came from the right corner of the end zone.
There is no foul on the play. Third down.
I guess there might have been some contact there, but once that ball was thrown out in the back of the end zone, it would have been uncatchable, and so they just let it stand. Some great hand checking going on both sides of the ball, wide receivers and DBs, and Greg Williams saying, we got to call a play here that's going to get us in the end zone.
What kind of stuff do you want to run this close to the goal line?
Well, it's tough because your quarterback's not as mobile. Play action's good. Third down, that takes away. I find Josh Reed, he's been slithering in between holes all game long.
And Reed,
maybe it's time to go back to Moulds on the slant.
Reed lines up in the slot. Bledsoe underneath. Touchdown Buffalo. This time it's Peerless Price. Peerless Price breaking free, and Drew Bledsoe put it on the money.
Well, that was the fastest touchdown and get off the field I've ever seen in my life. And then they said, Peerless, get your behind back on the field. We're going for 2.
Well, nicely done, Brent.
Yeah, I know.
Behind, thank you.
Yeah, here you go.
And Greg Williams, the reaction, he'll take it.
And you see Peerless Price slipping in between the double coverage. And there's Greg Williams saying 2, Peerless, 2, 2, 2, Peerless, 2. Get back out there. What was that sprint off the field, Peerless Price?
All right, here we go. Buffalo going for 2. Play action, Bledsoe pumps, looks, fires, broken up. Corey Javis knocks it down. The plot thickens, flags on the play. Flags on the play. And the Vikings are pointing in the direction of the Bills.
And I think they're going to, I'm not sure if it's Josh Reed or Willie Alford, but they both were talking trash to each other in the game, in the end zone. And it looks like they're going to call it on Josh Reed.
So the Bills will be backed up. And with the way they've struggled
Buffalo.
on special teams.
The penalty will be administered on the kickoff.
With the way they've struggled on special teams, Minnesota with the golden opportunity to play with a short field. We'll have it for you right after this. To 32, the Bills lead the Vikings, and a look at the scoring drive capped off by the 3-yard touchdown reception. Bledsoe to Peerless Price. Price over 100 yards, and now the Bills have to kick from their own 15. Cedric James from the 17. James, oh, he's tripped up at the 40, but the Vikings will take it. They have excellent field position with 3:03 to go. But Minnesota, they've made some mistakes, some miscues as we call them. Doug Bryant has missed 2 extra points. The most he's missed in his entire career, 2. Back during the 1994 season when he was 60 of 62.
And Doug has had a solid career in the NFL, was with the 49ers early in his career, Saints, and now with the Vikings. And he knows that he's got to keep his head in this game.
Now don't forget, coming up tonight on CBS, 60 Minutes, followed by Becker with Ted Danson. Then the CBS Sunday movie, Kevin Costner stars in Message in a Bottle, along with Robin Wright Penn. 3:03 remaining in the 4th quarter. Injured player. It's a Viking. Can't see the number right now. It's number 97, and that will be Sawyer. To Lance Sawyer. Shaken up. Out of UNLV in his 4th season. And they brought the cart onto the field. It's that left knee.
Yeah, when you see that knee pad flicked up, that's always not a great sign.
Sawyer has to be helped onto the cart. Now don't forget, Thursday, September 26th on CBS, every 30 seconds, someone disappears. And you've read the stories of families torn apart. Now meet the team who can find the missing and bring them home. Without a Trace premieres Thursday, September 26th, after CSI on CBS. So Sawyer taken off the field. The Vikings have it. 1st down and 10 at their own 40-yard line. Down 36 to 32. Mo Williams lines up in the backfield with Culpepper out of the gun. Here's the handoff to Williams. Looking for an opening. Williams setting up his blocks and gets to the 44. Aaron Schobel with the tackle after a gain of 4.
And Gus, you still have time to be patient. The Vikings have 3 timeouts left, and they got great field position because of that unsportsmanlike conduct penalty that allowed the Bills to kick off from the 15-yard line.
2nd down, 6 at the 44. Culpepper underneath, caught. Klein-Saucer. And Jim Klein-Saucer stopped by Eddie Robinson after a gain of 10.
Klein-Saucer ratio might be up to almost 10% today. Making some big blocks, but it's some even bigger catches down the field.
Klein-Saucer, 6 catches, 56 yards. Had 5 last week. 1st down and 10. Culpepper again. Over the middle, Bates with the catch. Tell you what, Dante Culpepper is throwing bullets this afternoon.
And Gus, the big difference was he's really spread the ball around this second half, using different receivers, moving safeties and corners with his eyes.
A 22-yard pickup, and his offensive coordinator, Scott Linehan, has called a great game. Has the football at the 24. Now Monday, September 23rd on CBS, the network that brought you CSI, takes you to a whole new world of crime scene investigation. CSI Miami premieres Monday, September 23rd on CBS.
And Gus, the Vikings just called that timeout with 2:04 left, 4 seconds away from the 2-minute warning, and that was a senseless waste of a timeout. I can't figure out why in the world you would call that at that point unless they just weren't aware of the clock.
Lance Sawyer has a sprained right ankle and a sprained knee. He will not return. So that is a curious decision by the Minnesota staff to call a timeout. First down and 10 at the Buffalo 24. Bills trying to hold on to the lead. Up 36-32. Moss at the top of your screen. Split out wide. Drop play. Mo Williams. Lot of room. Williams lowers his head and barrels his way inside the 15. And that takes us to the 2-minute warning. 1:58 to play. Minnesota driving. Six to 32, but the Buffalo Bills defense deep in a hole right now, courtesy of an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty called against Josh Reed after scoring his touchdown. And it gave the Vikings great field position at the 40. This is the 5th play of their drive. Dante Culpepper under center. Drops it. Culpepper pounces on it. Wow. Dante Culpepper has had butterfingers today.
Boy, and that is a huge fumble right there. Ball slipping out of his hands, even though he falls on it. Now it's 3rd down, and they had to burn a timeout. We already saw him had to take a senseless timeout with 4 seconds before the 2-minute warning.
Now, you were talking about the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty called against Josh Reed. Take a look.
And there's, look at the right part of your screen, and there he is. He's just talking, and a little helmet bump right there. You know what? You just got to let it go. And you know what? I don't like that call by the official. We saw the officials last week in Cleveland take the game away from the Browns on a play, a stupid play nonetheless by Dwayne Rudd, ripping off his helmet, but it shouldn't have affected the outcome of the game. Hey, if you want to fine the guy 25 grand, go ahead. Totally away from the play, gave the Chiefs an extra play, kicked the field goal, won the game, cost the Browns, and that was a stupid penalty right there by Josh Reed, but something that shouldn't be called. You know, little helmet bump. Those things happen in the end zone. You got to let the guys play.
So the Vikings face with a 3rd and 2 at the 16. 1:49 to go. Culpepper sets up, looks in the corner. Randy Moss held somehow. And that is the most athletic 2-yard catch maybe in the history of the league.
And you hear people talk all the time about coming back for the ball. Watch Randy Moss on a comeback route, keeps coming back, flicks it to himself. Ironically, takes a couple shots and still gets the 1st down. Time still rolling though, Gus. Minute 18 left.
1st down and 10 at the 13 for the Vikings. Draw play. Mo Williams hopping through the hole and goes down at the 11.
You know, I don't know if I like that call either, because then you got to burn your last time out. And so you still have time. You've got a minute left. But it makes the huddle or on the line of scrimmage chaotic. Instead of being able to huddle up, call a play, remind guys where to go, all of a sudden now you have no timeouts. So if somebody's tackled inbounds and they're not in the end zone, it's a frantic free-for-all out there. You want communication at this time in the game.
But from the 10-yard line, Don't you want to attempt to throw the ball into the end zone?
Well, you do, but that doesn't necessarily prevent you from getting sacked or having a receiver having to come back for the ball like we just saw with Randy Moss, tackled in bounds. Then you're running up to the line of scrimmage. Then you lose that communication factor that you have within the huddle, telling guys to watch out for this blitz, go back here. Hey, look here if you're not getting this coverage. You don't get that at the line of scrimmage. Everybody's running around with their heads cut off.
So no timeouts remaining for Minnesota. Buffalo with 3 timeouts. They have all of theirs. 2nd and 7.
You cannot take a sack here, Gus. It will cause bedlam. Things will go crazy, and you lose everything that you've had to this point.
Derek Alexander wide at the top of your screen. Bates in the slot along with Moss. Here's Moss in motion. Quick toss to Randy Moss. One-hand catch. Randy Moss down inside the 5, but the clock is still running.
Okay, right now, Gus, you look at the Vikings, there's no sense of urgency. 50 seconds. Now all of a sudden, now they're trying to call a play. You don't have that huddle communication, so you're going to have to run a quick route, a fade route, a slant route. That's exactly what they're going to come up with right here.
Or Dante Culpepper on the quarterback draw. Here's Culpepper, looks in the end zone. Incomplete. No flags. Chris Watson defensively stops the clock at 30.
And an incompletion right here isn't that big of a deal. You actually get a huddle up, stops the clock. Trying Randy Moss. He's trying to get up with that one hand again with Chris Watson, who's done a tough job. You see Chris Watson looks like he's holding Randy Moss. And I don't blame Randy for being upset right there. And Mike Tyson, hey, what is the guy got to do?
Well,
he's holding him.
Well, Randy Moss has done a lot of pushing off today as well. So at this juncture, the officials allowing him to play. 2nd and goal at the 2. Culpepper again with Williams behind him, and they run it. Williams straight ahead. Touchdown Vikings. We'd like to welcome those of you that watched Houston play San Diego. Doug Bryant in to attempt the extra point. He's missed 2 today, but that one is good. And with 26 seconds remaining, Minnesota scores the go-ahead touchdown on the Mo Williams run.
And Gus, what a gutsy call. 30 seconds, no timeouts. Mo Williams hitting it up inside behind Pro Bowl center Matt Burke, who gets a swap out of stalemate at the line. And Mo Williams, what a guts call. Mike Tice, Scott Linehan, you see them hug each other right there. That is pressure, because if Mo Williams doesn't get into the end zone, that clock is ticking, and it's a free-for-all at the line of scrimmage trying to call a play and get something going. No timeouts, 30 seconds. You got to admire the courage right there.
However, the Buffalo Bills still have an opportunity. That's because Charlie Rogers, their kick returner, returned one 90 yards today for a touchdown. The Bills have struggled on special teams. They lost last week to the Jets because of poor play on their kickoff return team, their kickoff team rather. And right now, Greg Williams needs a miracle. And 26 seconds to go.
And Gus, all he wants is 3, and he's within range, because Doug Bryant, the kicker for the Minnesota Vikings, has missed 2 extra points today.
Do you kick it right at him, or do you squib it?
You do. You kick it deep. You let your return team go ahead and get down the field. You don't want to give a squib kick a chance to pop up and give the other team field position.
And he squibs it. Ball picked up at the 25. And they get up to the 35, make it the 36-yard line. Philip Crosby returning. A 10-yard return, and here comes Drew Bledsoe.
And Gus, did you see that squib kick? The ball popped right up Philip Crosby. If he caught it clean, would have another 5 or 6 yards. 36-yard line's a pretty good place to start from. You want to get about 35-yard line, you can have a chance to make one.
So they need to get to the 35 for Mike Hollis to be in range. Mike Hollis on the day is good from 52 yards out.
And Gus, Buffalo has 3 timeouts left. That allows them to use the middle of the field on that deep over route. You don't necessarily need to use
First down and 10 at the 35. Bledsoe underneath. Larry centers with the grab. Lowers his shoulder, gets out of bounds, close to midfield. Larry centers, picking up 13 yards.
Gus, you can still run 2 pass plays and have time for a field goal if you use the clock, use your timeout, or get out of bounds. Look for a 10-yard square out. You want to try to get inside the 40, maybe a 12-yard square out, maybe a crossing route. Take your chance. You need to get about 15 yards downfield from this point.
From the 48-yard line. Bledsoe. Underneath. Reed! Oh! Reed! Is it an interception? Let's see. The Vikings say they have it.
Gus, a dual catch is going to go to the offense. It sure looked like Reed was losing control of that once he brought it in. What a great wrestling match.
So Buffalo dodges a bullet.
What an unbelievably athletic move. Josh Reed's going to look upfield and try to get those yards before he looks the ball in. But watch this extra effort. The ball's flipping. He pulls it down out of midair and hangs on. Boy, I don't know if that wasn't an interception. You see that ball, number 29 gets it and wrestles it.
Brian Williams.
And Brian Williams. Josh Reed, what unbelievable strength for a wide receiver.
7 seconds on the game clock.
So they want to put 7 more seconds on the clock.
Wow. The simultaneous catch goes back to the offense.
Excuse me, they want to put 7 seconds, not 7 more seconds. So the clock right now reads 7.
Well, the one thing about that is that clock kept ticking because he bobbled the ball. It didn't give him those extra 2 seconds to get down and call timeout. So now they've got to throw a quick pass, Gus. It's 5-yard square out, 7-yard square out. You got to get it, you get out of bounds, or call the timeout in order to get your field goal team out there. A sack and the game's going to probably be over. A long pass. You got to tell your receivers, don't go running down the sideline because time's going to run out.
So here we go. They're on their feet at the Metrodome in downtown Minneapolis. Mike Tice 7 seconds away from his first win as the head coach of the Vikings.
You guys, this might be a spot. Watch Larry Centers out of the backfield to get 5-7 yards.
Bledsoe fires, caught. Price calls a timeout with 3 seconds remaining.
And that was a veteran move by Peerless Price. You see him get the ball and go right down and call timeout. Don't fight for an extra yard. Don't struggle. It's still going to be a long field goal, Gus. We're looking at probably 53 yards here.
And Hollis's career long is 53 yards. He did it back in 1995 versus Pittsburgh.
Now, normally, if you're a defensive team, Gus, right here, you love to call a timeout to ice the kicker. Vikings have no timeouts left. So Buffalo still coming back off of its timeout. Get the group ready to set up.
Greg Williams can barely look. Mike Tice still with the steely eyes. And here comes Mike Hollis from 54 yards. They get it down cleanly. Hollis! Oh, got it! Holy mackerel! It hit the crossbar and bounced in. Hollis is living right, and we are tied at 39. Holy mackerel! A career-long 54 yards!
Because they actually moved it back to 8 yards. Usually it's 7 yards deep. Gave him an extra run at it, and that little extra run probably provided that opportunity, those 2 inches to hit the top and kick over the crossbar.
So for the second week in a row, the Buffalo Bills are headed for overtime. And what a shot. Wow. Greg Williams. He'll take it. And we're ready for overtime, and this time Buffalo will get it. Last week they didn't, and it cost him the game as Chad Morton ran one back 96 yards.
And Greg Williams pretty fired up, a little chatty with the officials there on the sideline, got a bounce off the crossbar, and then he wins the coin toss. He's on a roll.
We are ready for OT here in Minnesota. For now, as we get ready to start the overtime session, and the Bills went to overtime last week versus the Jets. They lost the coin toss, and Chad Morton did him in. Morton returning it 96 yards for the Jets. And New York went on to win the football game 37-31 in OT. Greg Williams, though, remained positive, and we talked to him. He said, hey, our guys are focused. We have the leadership we needed. And right after that game, when we met in the locker room, our focus was Minnesota. We didn't even worry about losing that game at that point.
And he said the veteran players stood up, said a few things to the younger guys and said, hey, this is going to change. We played hard, we played well, and things are going to be different next week. And you can just see them playing with fire and emotion. And this team has some talent. They're still young, but Greg Williams has them on the right track.
So they send it away. Rodgers a yard deep. Rodgers still running, spins and goes down at the 22. A 22-yard return. Jim Nelson with the tackle on special teams. Don't forget, coming up next, 60 minutes, except on the West Coast.
And Gus, going back to the Bills' last drive, prior to kicking that game-tying field goal here before regulation ended, Josh Reed was the guy that was getting open and was left uncovered a couple times. We've seen Peerless Price step up and have a big day. Still, Eric Mold's getting a lot of double coverage and hasn't had as many catches today as you'd expect.
First down and 10 for Drew Bledsoe at the 22. Here's Bledsoe. Fires to the sideline. Reed with the catch, and he's taken down by Henry Crockett. And the rules of overtime, it's pretty simple. A 15-minute period. Whoever scores first wins.
Nobody knows that better than the Bills and Greg Williams, because that was a short overtime game last week for him.
Gain of 4 on the last play. 2nd and 6 at the 26. Bledsoe. Underneath it is, let's see.
You know, Gus, I think they're calling the catch. I didn't hear a whistle. I don't see arms waving it off. I think it bounced, though.
I think it bounced as well. Looked like he scooped it up.
He tried to get his elbows underneath. Let's see if they can run a play before Minnesota challenges, and there goes the red hanky.
The former quarterback at the University of Maryland.
If that was a football, it would have gone 60 yards.
Way up into the stands.
The play is being reviewed.
Here's another look.
And you see, and there's the ball rolling, and it looks like it's trapped on the ground. Now remember, Gus, it was called a catch on the field, so you have to have irrefutable evidence to overturn it. There it is, tip of the ball on the ground. To me and you, that's irrefutable. I think that's the angle that's going to bring the ball back. Good acting, though, by Peerless Price.
Peerless Price has had a huge game. 9 catches, 114 yards, and a touchdown. Mike Tice with that nervous quiver.
Play is being reviewed to determine if the receiver, in fact, caught the pass.
And Gus, as good as that throw by Mike Tice was of the red hanky, the plays are automatically reviewed in overtime anyway, just like the last 2 minutes. And so he didn't need to throw it, but there's a little emotion in that toss.
Probably felt good.
Yeah, it felt good. There's the look. There's Peerless Price. There's the tip of the ball. You see him try to get his elbows underneath to cradle it, but the tip came right down through his arms, hit the ground. He rolled over. It's tough to call it from the official's angle if you're behind him because you can't see that ball on the ground. That's a great shot by our camera folks with that ball tip on the ground. Remember, irrefutable evidence to overturn the call on the field. We didn't hear a whistle. It wasn't waved off, so the call on the field was catch.
And another look.
You know, Peerless Price actually stopped on that route and then started again. You see that ball clicking around in there. There it is right there, touching the ground. And that's some tough bang calls that these officials have to make. And this is our second game this year, and they have been all over every one. And I know how hard those officials work in the offseason, but they need to get more credit because they get a lot of the abuse sometimes.
39-39, and this game was tied at halftime at 13 apiece.
And we came back for the second half, talked about the great defensive coverage in both secondaries, and we were waiting for the fireworks, and they never came. And holy cow, did they come in the second half.
The Buffalo Bills are 0-3 lifetime here in Minnesota. But the most interesting statistic, 6 of the past 7 meetings between these two teams have been decided by 7 points or less. The last meeting back in October of 2000, the Vikings won it 31-27. And I know right now the Minnesota fans and the team are thinking about this. The 2 missed extra points.
Doug Bryan just pulling them both a little left.
And he's thinking about them as well.
But still, in the overtime period, you have to go out and encourage your kicker because he could be back trying to win this game for you in a few minutes.
After review, there is no indisputable visual evidence to warrant the change of the call on the field. The pass is complete.
Wow, I disagree.
Results in a first down.
And it's some of the time, let's look at the ground and the replay, and it sure looks to me from this angle that ball, you don't see possession. You see the ball click off his jersey.
Oh, that ball is on the ground.
And there's the ball on the ground right there. I think that's irrefutable. They say no, so I respectfully disagree. And I'm not so sure that was the right call. Bills get a break.
First down at the 41. Bledsoe to the sideline on a rope to Moulds, and Moulds steps out of bounds. At the 46, in front of Corey Chavis, a 12-yard pickup. Don't forget, folks, coming up tonight on CBS at 60 Minutes, followed by Becker and Kevin Costner in the CBS Sunday movie Message in a Bottle. The Metrodome in downtown Minneapolis, we're in overtime, tied at 39. Drew Bledsoe, he's a star. And he has 19 career game-winning drives. Can he make it 20? Bledsoe with the sideline again. That one overthrown out of bounds. Eric Moulds, the intended receiver, brings up second down and 10.
And you saw Eric Moulds motioning to the sideline. Hey, keep it coming to me. I can beat this guy. That's exactly what he's saying. Little frustration in the second half. Not as many chances. We've seen Peerless Price get the ball. We've seen Josh Reed. Eric Moulds is your game-breaking wide receiver. A lot of double coverage, but you can see the frustration coming out. Hey, I can beat this guy. Call my number.
Bledsoe 28 of 41, 333 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Out of the gun, low snap. It's on the ground. Who's got it? The Vikings say they have it. My goodness. And Buffalo holds on.
What a break.
Wow.
For the Buffalo Bills and center Trey Tees. Gonna just slide it right back there, a little low.
The dangers of the shotgun. Chris Hovan trying to reach in and corral that football in the middle of the scrum.
Yeah, that's bedlam down in the scrum, Gus. Fighting, pinching, biting.
Wait a minute.
Once they call it, it's called.
Okay.
That's right. Boy, actually,
Jack Brewer somehow tried to come up with the football. Rookie out of Minnesota.
I actually played in a game against the Vikings where I got into 2 scrums and the guy literally had the ball and I pinched his arm, punched him in the stomach and took the ball out both times and they gave us the ball. It's bedlam in those scrums.
It's good to know you play by the rules.
Hey, you know, if you're going for the ball, game's on the line.
3rd and 15. Bledsoe out of the pocket, throws it short, incomplete. And the Bills will have to punt it away. Corey Javis defensively on Eric Moles.
And Gus, the momentum changed after that snap. 3rd and 15 isn't what you wanted to have to try to convert here in overtime. So that snap off of Drew Bledsoe's ankle really came back to hurt him.
So Mormon comes on. Danny Smith, the special teams coach. He needs a good effort from his punt coverage team. Mormon pops this one in the air. And it's covered at the 24. And here comes the man, Randy Moss. In big games, your stars have to come up with big plays. The coaches preach it all the time.
You've been in the locker room too much.
No, I've been listening to you.
Big players make big plays in big games. And coaches make big calls. And the Vikings, we've seen them a couple times stay patient, stay with their run game, a continuation of mixing it up between run and pass. Let's see if they stick with that plan here in overtime.
1st down and 10 from the 25. Culpepper, quick strike to Moss. And Moss steps out of bounds. He's chopped down by Nate Clements.
And what a battle today between Nate Clements and Randy Moss.
Nate's done a good job. Guarding Randy Moss is not an easy thing. Nate only 5 feet 11. Randy Moss all of 6 feet 4 with blazing speed.
Guarding Randy Moss is easy if there's 4 of you. Not if there's 1.
Maybe difficult even then. Moss with 11 catches for 111 yards. 2nd and 6 from the 29. Another quick strike. This time Alexander makes the first man miss and gets to the 32. Coy Wire, the rookie safety, with the tackle.
And Gus, we're talking about the success of the Vikings here in the 2nd half. A lot of it falls on Dante Culpepper's shoulders. Mike Tice continuing to make the calls, but Dante has done a great job of spreading the ball around, involving all his receivers. Dwayne Bates wide open down the middle. Derek Alexander in the end zone for a touchdown. You've got to utilize some of your weapons other than Randy Moss so everybody isn't keying on him all the time.
3rd down and 3 at the 32. They need to go to the 35 for a 1st down. Culpepper out of the shotgun. He's got great wheels. Culpepper fires underneath, broken up by Keith Newman. No flags on the play. And I would say some questionable play calling on that possession as Culpepper trots off the field.
Yeah, that wasn't one of Dante's best passes. I think it hit Keith Newman in the knee.
The Vikings have had so much success throwing the ball down the field, but they go away from it. Their first possession here in overtime. So Richardson punts it away, a wobbly kick. And he gets a decent bounce, and it's covered at the 23. A 45-yard punt.
Well, we've had a couple punts here in overtime. We've hardly had any all day. Been big plays, touchdowns, run backs, all kinds of excitement. And you know what? Sometimes coaches tighten up in overtime. And you mentioned the play calling. Sometimes you just get a little bit more nervous.
See,
it's tough to make that call when it's all or nothing.
Drew Bledsoe not wanting to tighten up at all. He is a star in this league. Brought to Buffalo to win games just like this one. 1st 10 at the 23.
And I still like Josh Reed. I don't know if the Vikings have covered him all day.
Bledsoe hands it off. And the pile moving a bit. Wiley with the tackle on Larry Centers. And let's take a look at what got us into overtime. Mike Hollis, the former Jaguar, the 6th most accurate kicker in NFL history. And he is living life, folks. Got a great bounce, and we're tied at 39. Bledsoe to the sideline. Moles with the catch, wrapped up at the 37. First down for Buffalo. Tyrone Carter with the hit.
And Gus, Eric Moles doing a nice job of keeping his body between the defender and the ball. Did a nice job of coming back for that ball. Just a real professional. And Eric Moles has been frustrated. A lot of double coverage today. And you see the Bills going without a huddle. Gus trying to confuse this Vikings defense.
Reminiscent of the Jim Kelly days of the no-huddle offense in Buffalo. Bledsoe to the sideline. Caught. Peerless Price out of bounds at the 42. Ryan Williams with the tackle, a gain of 5.
And Gus, a big reason you want to go with a no huddle is to keep the nickel defense off the field. See, they're going against linebackers in there, and actually they might have an extra nickel man on the field right now as well. But you don't want to allow substitutions. So if you go line up at the line of scrimmage, the Vikings can't substitute.
Second down, 4 at 43. Bledsoe again. Underneath, Centers picks it up off the cuff and starts running, turning it up and getting inside Minnesota territory. Jim Nelson with the stop, but it's a pickup of 10.
Now that's a little play in the big scheme of things, but that's a huge catch by Larry Centers, going down on one knee, scooping that ball and getting up the field for 10 yards. Huge play, and you see him staying with the no huddle. They've got a mismatch that they think they can capitalize on right here.
It's Kevin Gilbride, the offensive coordinator, calling the plays. Bledsoe down the seam, throws a rope. Moles turns it up. And Moles gets down at the 25. Tyrone Carter stops him, but it's a gain of 23. And already they're in field goal range.
And what a great idea. Kevin Gilbride going with the no huddle. Get a mismatch. You get Eric Moles one-on-one outside, coming on that post route. Drew behind him a little bit. You see Eric Moles open up his hips and get the ball and go away back to the sideline. Very impressive job catching the ball, spinning that hip over and getting down the field.
And Mike Hollis, he has been perfect today with an opportunity to be an angel for the Bills. And some movement. Larry Centers continues to run. Flags on the field.
And free play for the Bills. Gus, Vikings were offsides, and that whistle didn't blow. You got to keep going.
Defense, number 99, 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
That's Chris Hovan, and they spotted at the 20, and as successful as Hollis has been, as 60 minutes will be coming up following this football game, except on the West Coast. Right now, you want to get a little conservative and give them a chance to win it for you.
I think conservative's not a bad idea. This tight inside the red zone. Mike Hollis kicking the ball really well right now for Buffalo.
First down and 5 at the 19. Bledsoe to throw. Bledsoe sacked.
And partner, you called it. Hey, let's get conservative. The only thing that can hurt you is a big sack. And darned if the Vikings don't come up with it. Lorenzo Bromell.
Why do you call that play in that situation?
You know, I don't know. Maybe you think you're going to catch him sleeping or expecting the run, but a 9-yard loss, and now you've made that field goal so much tougher. Now you have to throw on second down.
They had the ball at the 19, now the 28. Second and 14. Quick strike. Here's Price trying to get out of bounds. And I'm sure Buddy Ryan is somewhere watching this game and saying, that's why I threw a punch at Kevin Gilbride.
Now, why'd you have to? That is not right. Kevin Gilbride's called a great game, and that was. I just want him to know I had nothing to do with that. Hey, Gus, it looks like they're going to come in right now on third down and try the field goal. And their thinking is, you know, if there's a bad snap, if there's a situation, hey, we want to have another down to go ahead and take a shot.
And a timeout has been called by the Bills. So Mike Hollis is the reason the Bills managed to get into overtime as he kicked a 54-yarder.
And Gus, I mean, that was 6 inches inside of 55. Officially, they'll call it 54, but it was much closer to 55. And you talk about a boot.
Hollis good today from 52, 20, 20, and 54 yards. But that sack that they gave up may cost the Bills because Buffalo had the football at the 19-yard line.
Well, that's 7.5 yards, and you just pound it up in there, you're going to get a couple yards. So, hey, it's still a tough kick. And they're kicking on third down, 45 yards. Mike Hollis thinks this is a chip shot.
Mike Hollis for the win. It's up. And he missed it. He missed it.
And Gus, it's going to go back to that call on 1st and 5, 19-yard line to drop back, take a 9-yard sack. And here's Mike Hollis just getting it over a little bit, pulling it just a shade left, 2 feet left. And what a wild one we've had. And there he says it.
And Ty says, I still have life.
Man, is Mike Tice cool? He's been cool on the sideline all day long.
First down and 10 for the Vikings at the 35, 7:07 to go. It's been a white knuckler here in Minnesota. This is Williams, breaks the tackle, keeps running, and gets to the 38.
You know, in overtime with a great kicker like Mike Hollis, and you mentioned time to be conservative, and they took that 9-yard sack on 1st and 5. I still don't understand that. Usually I'm a much more aggressive play caller, but you're on the road, you've got great field position, you've got a good kicker. Why even take the chance? And I'm sure they're going to be asking that in Buffalo this week. It won't be the special teams question, it looks like.
Second down and 6 at the 39. Here's a handoff. They stretch it out to Williams. Gets to the 40.
Wow, 2 runs in a row for the Vikings. They're listening to your conservative play calling suggestion.
Maybe for the Vikings a little too conservative.
Yeah, I think so. It's nice to not abandon the run, and they've done a great job of mixing run and pass all day. But here in overtime, I don't know if you want to run it 1st and 2nd down and have 3rd and 5 staring you in the face.
Well, actually, it's 3rd down and 4 at the 41. Dante Culpepper lines up in the shotgun. Randy Moss at the bottom of your screen. Culpepper throws it up for Moss, out of bounds. 3 and out. And that is the 2nd straight 3 and out for the Vikings. And the Vikings getting a little tight under the collar.
And Randy Moss is complaining. He went ahead and got hit by Chris Watson on a little hitch and go. And they are screaming interference on the Viking sideline. It sure looked like it from up here.
Richardson stands at the 25. Pops it up high, spiraling, beautiful punt. Rodgers will run it from the 10. Breaks it inside at the 20 and gets up to the 25. A 54-yard punt and a 16-yard return. Don't forget, coming up tonight on CBS, 60 Minutes. Then there's Ted Danson and Becker, followed by Message in a Bottle. The Nicholas Sparks book turned into a movie.
What do you think, partner? You're always asking me what to do. What do you call certain situations? What do you think? You've been watching almost 5 quarters of football. In fact, we're getting to the point now with 5:28 left that you got to be staring a tie in the face here pretty soon.
I say you let her rip. You have one of the great quarterbacks in the league. You have 3 very talented receivers, a fullback that's the greatest receiving back in the history of the game.
Don't forget the tight end.
Underneath, there he is, Jay Riemersma. And Riemersma gets inside Vikings territory down to the 49. The chains keep moving. It's a gain of 27.
You tried to forget Jay Riemersma, didn't you? He got fired up about that.
Never the tight end.
Never the tight end. Basic route, basic cross coming across the field. Big play, caught the ball, got upfield.
And the defense for Minnesota must be getting tired. Here's Bledsoe. Bledsoe underneath again. Price with the catch. A flag. Price towards the end zone. Touchdown Buffalo. And it should be a holding call against Minnesota.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to call pass interference offensively in this occasion. I think it was a hold. And that's what the referee is signaling. And it's going to be touchdown Buffalo. Game over, Peerless Price.
Holding. 29 defense.
And this one
Penalty
is over.
decline. Touchdown.
The Buffalo Bills win in dramatic fashion. A 48-yard touchdown. Drew Bledsoe to Peerless Price, and they win it 45-39.
Gus, watch the acceleration by Peerless Price after he catches the ball. Watch Drew Bledsoe looks right, comes back left, allows that open crevice right there. Here comes, he got held back here. Now watch the acceleration right by the defense for the Minnesota Vikings. Bang! All the way into the end zone. That is some speed. And look at Drew Bledsoe. We're in the W column.
The 20th career game-winning drive for Drew Bledsoe. Greg Williams believes in this team. And after struggling last week in overtime, they win it today. 45-39 for Brent Jones. I'm Gus Johnson saying so long from the Metrodome, where the Bills win. Huge day for Drew Bledsoe, Mike Hollis, Greg Williams, and Peerless Price. You've been watching the National Football League.